The story begins on a peaceful day, where someone who was happily enjoying their time in his own bed is disturbed by a book falling down on his face, waking him up with a headache. But suddenly he remembered that he had been caught in an accident while he was exploring the ruins, which he assumes that he was rescued. And to add to his confusion, he was inside a room he wasn't familiar with. Conveniently, in front of him was a mirror, and upon looking at himself further, he realized that his face has totally changed, and his body is not the same either. Therefore, he concludes that he was transmigrated into a different body, because he was a young charming archaeologist just a moment ago, but now he's just an ordinary high schooler. However, upon looking at his surroundings, he noticed a book that catches his attentions, and so he looks at it closer, only to find out it was related to taming monsters. With this, a surge of memories flowed inside of him, and upon remembering his current body's memories, he now realized that he is no longer on planet Earth, because now he is on a place called Blue Planet. On this planet, the animals and plants, even the mountains, rivers, lakes, wind, and snow, everything here can potentially evolve into transcendent beasts and gain intelligence. They can also gain mighty powers. To a person from Earth, they are divine beasts. And also, the humans here have their own powers as well, which is called taming. Tamers are capable of creating alternate dimensions in their minds by meditating. This gave them the opportunity to capture and tame the evolved beasts. With the taming dimension, the human civilization flourished and began a new era, which was popularly known as the taming era. Tamers are the elites in this era, but the beast still dominates the area beyond the humans' territory, and powerful beasts sometimes spell trouble for humans. He then remembered that he is named Shiryu, and he lost his family caused by a rampage of monsters. With this, he has a rough idea about the taming world, and that he transmigrated. But he wouldn't call this an improvement either, since he became a nobody, unlike his previous life. Therefore, he decides to investigate further in order to know what he could use to his advantages. So upon opening his status, he now knows that he is just an ordinary intern breeder at Glacier City's breeding base, and the reason he is interning here is to become a tamer. But he couldn't help himself but sigh as he realized that, even in this life, he couldn't run away at his personal problems. Still, he was determined to change all that. Therefore, he decides to clear today's mission for now, which was to feed snow wolves in the morning and collect green cotton worms growth data in the afternoon. But if his memory serves him right, snow wolves live in packs and are extremely ferocious carnivores. With this, he was questioning if it was all right to send an intern to do this alone. However, he assumes that it would be fine since this was a prestigious company, and that he only made it as an intern here because he has exam results that an Asian parent would be proud of, coupled with his unique taming talent, called telepathy, a talent that enables him to communicate with all kinds of beings. Even if it is a useless skill in actual combat, it is an important one, and it is much sought after in the fields of diplomacy, education, and breeding research. With this, he is more than sure that he would be able to get along well with the snow wolves, and so, he decides to give it a try now, in order to get used to it. As he opens his taming dimension, soon after, his consciousness entered his own dimension, and upon opening his eyes, he saw a mysterious book in front of him. Now he realized that he had unlocked a new taming talent, which was called the Skills Handbook. This surprises him, even though it was common for a human to awaken a taming talent after activating their taming dimension for the first time. He has already received one, and taming talents are categorized into enhancement and unique talents with an approximate ratio of 9:1. Enhancement talents can be used to strengthen certain types of pet beasts. It's a typical combat talent, while unique talents, on the other hand, are complex, and the talents greatly differ from each other. Just like Shiryu's original talent, telepathy is the most common skill among unique talents. It is not exactly powerful or rare, but it is handy when it comes to job hunting. Still, who knew that he would be getting a second talent now? It was even a unique one at that, and this talent can copy the skill of transcendent beasts and keep them in this handbook, enabling him to teach the skills he has collected to other beasts. However, there are 3 conditions to copy the skills of other transcendent beasts. First, he needs to personally witness the beast using the skill. Second, he has to touch the beast. Third, the 2 actions have to be completed within an hour. Those are the conditions to copy and record the skills, and there is a different condition to teach another beast with the recorded skill, which is, the amount of stamina required for teaching process will differ depending on the level of the skill, and the beast being taught also need to have a certain affinity to the skill being taught. Although there are a lot of restrictions, this handbook will certainly earn Shiryu the envy of the other tamers. However, there are still 3 other factors that Shiryu needs to think carefully of, since it determines the strength of a tamer besides the skills of the pet beast. The first one is the development of the tamer's own taming talent. The second is skill tomes. The third one is the evolution of taming. Of the 3, The first one is related to the development of the tamer's own skills. The second and third factors are related to the tamer's knowledge and experience. 2 talents. Someone would even call this cheating, but it seems it is possible since it was Shiryu, and it is because he is a transmigrator after all. The Shiryu here possesses the talent of telepathy, and his transmigrator self possesses the talent of copying. And no matter how you look at it, this was good for Shiryu, and this was probably his bonus as a transmigrator. And as he was still processing all the information that he had obtained, the alarm suddenly went off, notifying him that he was almost late. Therefore he hurriedly changed and went to the snow wolves to do his quest. Soon after, he was now inside a facility, in which he found the food that he was supposed to feed the wolves with. But seeing the contents of the package, Shiryu couldn't help himself but drool over it. And it is no wonder that not everyone is cut out to be a tamer, since a normal person could be envious at this beast, because these pet beasts are better fed than people. However, as he was stacking the crates in his vehicle, a few members of the company that knew him interacted with Shiryu in a friendly manner, teasing him about the wolves he was about to feed, to which he politely responds, but quickly left the place since he doesn't remember any of them. And as he was traveling to the wolves, he remembered that his self in this world's personality was shaped by what happened to his family. He usually keeps to himself and prefers it that way. That is why he didn't make any friends right away in his new workplace, and he didn't mingle with any of the smaller circles. He is like a lone wolf, which is why he is lacking in interpersonal relationships. But it was not a bad thing for now. It may have also been beneficial, so no one would notice his sudden changes, and his current priority is to take his time and get used to this world, so he can always build relationships afterward. But as soon as he was discharging the food, a pack of snow wolves appeared at his rear, which surprised him. And what surprised him even more was his memories are especially clear at times like this, remembering all the details of the snow wolves. But of course, he has his unique talents, and so he could understand them, to which they were wondering what took him so long to arrive here. And since they were starving, Shiryu was absolutely looking extra delicious to their eyes. With this he realized he was an additional item on the menu, but luckily for him, the Wolf King arrives, and just with a howl, the other wolves behaved to greet him. Now that it was settled, Shiryu was face to face with the Wolf King, only to be nudged by the wolf on his forehead. And with this, he was marked, leaving the Wolf King's scent on him, which Shiryu was relieved since it was a much more civilized way compared to peeing. And to his surprise, the handbook appeared before him, and as he was wondering why it showed itself, the handbook suddenly opens, informing him about the Wolf King's skill he just obtained. With this he succeeded in copying the Intimidate skill, which was a high-level skill at that. This means he can teach his pet beast the skill as soon as he has one, and this skill is a sign of kingly aptitude, which means he can raise a beast king. With this, Shiryu felt amazing as he has an amazing talent for taming, but his celebration went short-lived, as he noticed the Wolf King thought he was retarded, or even scared out of his wits. Therefore, he went out to do his mission and feed the wolves, and the Wolf King's mark worked as expected, since the other wolves were warming up to him, just like what the other in turn said. And as he was stroking the other wolf's head, a notification popped up, informing him that he could teach the wolf he was petting the intimidation skill he just received. With this, Shiryu is more than sure that he can raise a Wolf King now, but he knows that it will certainly be a problem if he taught the skill without due consideration. Therefore, he leaves without changing much. However, it was a shame that he didn't manage to copy the other skills of the snow wolves, but it was to be expected since the other wolves would never use their skills during mealtime without good reason. Nevertheless, he now has a high-level mental skill, which is good enough for Shiryu. As he was traveling, a greenback eagle flew by him, and to his surprise, the system informed him that it was another teachable beast for intimidation skill. Now Shiryu realized that he might be able to raise more than just a Wolf King. He can also raise a Bird King, which he would have given it a try, if only he didn't have any other work to do. But he was still an intern, so he has to start from the basic, and follow his routine, as much as he can, and there are only 3 months before the end of his internship, so he should stick with the program and learn the ropes first. He then came across a billboard containing an Iron Eater beast, which Shiryu remembered that it was the beast his previous self booked. On the planet Earth, they are known as pandas. Here they're only a middle transcendent beasts, and it is because Iron Eaters have only one single skill, called Harden. With this, Shiryu assumes that these beasts are just too lazy, but he has paid the deposit already, and looking at the bright side, their rarity and appearance is to Shiryu's liking. So he managed to convince himself to be happy with his former self's choice, and thanks to the policy, he can afford this beast. And this wasn't such a bad of a circumstance either, since the Iron Eaters can consume metals and minerals which would be used when they activate Harden, coupled with the intimidation that he got, and another sensing or agility related skill. His Iron Eater might end up becoming a Panda King. With this, hope filled Shiryu's eyes, as he was sure that he would surprise other tamers with his beast build. But to his dismay, he could only take out a loan after getting his breeder's certificate. Only then could he pick up the Iron Eater cub he booked. Therefore, he was determined to take this job as seriously as he could, and went off to his next mission, while just looking at the bright side of things, thinking that he might be able to copy another skill. A few moments later, Shiryu arrived at the green cottonworm's experimental area, where he was briefed about what he was supposed to do. And this wasn't a hard job either, since he was with few other people, and they were just supposed to observe and record the activity growths of the green cottonworms. Therefore, they did their jobs without thinking that much, while Shiryu, on the other hand, was observing the worms closely. And from the looks of it, even though there are a lot of them, the worms are too weak, and the only good thing is that they have room for growth, meaning they can also evolve. And as he decides to interact with them further, they just let out their white silk, giving him a facial, telling him to go away. Unexpectedly, a single brave worm has latched onto him. With this, Shiryu noticed that he could also teach it the Intimidate skill he just received, which surprises him since it also has an affinity to be a king. But what surprises him even more is that a new skill named Silk has been recorded into his handbook. But looking at the skill information further, Shiryu perceived it as useless, but a skill was still a skill, so he pry further. With this, he realized that he is able to teach Silk to them again, even though they already know the Silk skill, and repeated teaching of a skill can help improve mastery. However, since they are still other around, he decides not to do it for now. At a later time, he was now inside his room, doing his research about the thing that may help him, and because of this, he now knows that there are 51 pet beasts being bred in Glacier City's breeding base. However, there aren't any sensing skills that he would like to copy, and the skills learned by the young beasts here are basically fundamental and low in rank, so there is not much sense in copying them. And he couldn't be careless in copying abilities, since he is still unsure if there's an upper limit to his copying ability. And before he can find out about the actual limit, he discerns that it would be better to focus on copying the middle and high-level skills. So upon thinking through it further, he remembers what the other interns have said, and that there is a dandelion clump in the health center, which is quite skilled in healing. With this, he realized that there are many wild pet beasts other than the ones who at the breeding facility, and there are also many tamers that can show him their pet. Therefore, he decides to change his target. A few moments later, Shiryu was now in front of the infirmary of the residential area, and upon entering the room, he used his best acting skill to convince the doctor that he had sprained his wrist. But he may not need to use his acting skill, since the doctor is used to a new intern making a scene like this. Therefore, she just summoned her beast without thinking much about it, and without a second wasted, Shiryu experienced the skill firsthand, and got to touch it at the same time, completing the requirements. With this, the quick heal ability has been recorded on his handbook, getting an extremely rare healing skill just like that. Now he is more convinced to copy all the beasts in the breeding base, and he has 3 months left in his internship, so he will have plenty of chances. While the doctor noticed he was overreacting, Shiryu had already completed what he had planned, so he thanked her and left the place. Still, he knew that he was disturbing her time because of his personal vendetta, so he decided to come to thank her again tomorrow with some snacks that her plant beast would like. And Shiryu was lucky that the doctors here would use their pet beast's healing ability to treat an injury, no matter how minor, since they were trying to increase their pet beast's mastery of the skill. But Shiryu didn't have to do this, since he has the handbook. He can easily improve his pet beast's mastery by reteaching them the same skill, and that is like a cheat code, because it is the same as improving the training efficiency of his pet beast. And now that he has thought about it, the doctor was also an intern tamer, since her pet beast's skill was still at a low level. So she was still trying her best to level it up, because when the tamers and the first pet beast's skills reach a certain level, they can take part in the unified examination of the Tamers Association. By passing the examination, an intern tamer will be promoted to a professional tamer. And with 2 taming abilities that Shiryu has, he wonders how long it will take him to go from an intern to an official tamer. 3 months later, Shiryu reached the limit of his skill handbook collection, and it is a good thing that he didn't fill it with low-level skills. It would have been such a waste. One of the things he received is Super Sight. As the name suggests, it is a skill that enhances one's eyesight. He copied this skill from the pack of high transcendent wind-type bird beasts, patrolling the skies of the breeding base. It is not quite what he expected from a sensing skill that extremely enhances one's sense, but it will have to do for now. The next one is the ability called Absolute Slumber. He copied this from a high transcendent pet beast of one of the breeders, Nefer. The pet beast using this skill will fall into a deep sleep and recover rapidly, and with his quick healing, he can save a whole lot on treating his pet beasts if they get hurt in the future. So he is more than sure that his Iron Eater will understand that he is just too broke for now. And sure, you figured that the skills handbook would have a limit, but 5 slots for a start was too low than he expected. So he concludes that there is more to it, and to unlock his talent's true potential, he would have to develop some unique taming talent to add more pages to the handbook. Therefore, he set his goals in leveling up first. He is sure of it, since tamers improve their own abilities through meditation. By meditating, they continuously strengthen, modify, and expand their own taming dimensions. A more solid taming dimension can accommodate pet beasts of higher levels and impose a stronger restriction on them. Pet beasts will also grow faster with a better environment inside the taming dimension. With a larger taming dimension, a tamer can contract more pet beasts. Tamers selectively develop their own taming dimensions based on their personal needs. A tamer's taming talents will also be strengthened with the enhancement of their taming dimension. With all this, Shiryu's goal for now is to become a professional tamer within a year, but he could only do this if he has a pet beast. And since he now got his intern breeding certificate, it is time for him to meet his Iron Eater. So without a second wasted, he rode a bus straight to the Iron Bamboo breeding base. And the reason why there is a special breeding base specifically for Iron Eaters is because he is currently in Pinching District, a suburban area of Glacier City, which Iron Eaters are a specialty pet beast of the place. And with this, Shiryu will meet his first contracted beasts. After taking the hellish amount of stairs, Shiryu finally reached the top. Now it's no wonder to him that this place is deserted, and to add to his surprises, a large Iron Eater has greeted him at the entrance, to which it approached him suddenly. Luckily for Shiryu, it was just a worker wearing an Iron Eater mascot, and the worker introduced her name to be Lin Xiaozhu. With this, Shiryu is wondering why can't they hire someone more normal. Then Lin Xiaozhu clarifies to Shiryu that it is just a costume so that he wouldn't be surprised, as if it wasn't obvious from the start, and Shiryu is just surprised she is wearing a costume in this time of day. So Shiryu is more curious on who in their right minds would wear a costume when it's hot outside. Therefore he asks the weird person, to which Xiaozhu explains to him that she is only doing this to understand an Iron Eater's feelings better, since she believes that someone has to better understand them to be able to breed them well. This is the most essential thing a breeder should learn. Surprisingly, Shiryu agrees to her reasons, but now that Xiaozhu got a better look at him, she remembers that he is also a breeding major, which explains why he can understand her. Shiryu tells her that her assumptions were right. However, he clarifies that he is still a novice, and that he is nothing compared to her, calling her a senior at the same time, expecting to get a discount if he did. But this kind gesture of Shiryu backfired and activated something within her, completely switching her attitude into a hustler, asking him to buy 2 of these costumes to him at a discounted price after he picks up his pet beast. With this, Shiryu had no choice but to be dragged to where Xiaozhu wanted. And now that they were inside the facility, Xiaozhu took off her costume and revealed her face. But Shiryu was not a simp, so this did not move him, and it only made him even more weirded out, because now he knows that Xiaozhu must have loved pandas a lot, to be wearing another panda sweater after that panda costume was gone, while he was hoping that she is not going to sell him the sweater as well. Luckily, her attitude changed as she let go of the costume, and so, Shiryu's documents were all sorted easily. With this, Xiaozhu informed him that he should be able to pick up his pet beast today. However, he came a little too late. If he came earlier, he could have picked an Iron Eater of his choice, because currently, there's only one left in their batch of Iron Eaters. Also, the last Iron Eater's constitution and personality is slightly troublesome, which surprises Shiryu, since this is like Ash's situation in Pokemon. Now that he was briefed about the condition that he was in, they decided to go straight to where the Iron Eater was, and as they were walking toward their destination, Shiryu couldn't help but notice that the Iron Eaters really were a bunch of loafers, to which Xiaozhu explains that this isn't the season where they're active. The bigger Iron Eaters tend to be more docile right now, but the smaller ones are more lively. Soon after, they arrive at the place where the last available Iron Eater was, and looking at it afar, it looks normal to Shiryu. Unexpectedly, it smashed its head into the tree. Now Shiryu knows that maybe it is not the brightest, but before he could interact with it, Xiaozhu explained to him why it was acting that way, and that there were some complications when this cub was born. The labor didn't go smoothly, so it has a slightly weaker constitution compared to the other Iron Eater cubs, since the other cubs of his batch learned Harden when they were 1 year old, but it's the only one that has yet to pick up the skill, and being a late bloomer is a sign of a lack of talent. That's why this cub was not picked until now. That's also why it developed a personality that is unlike the others, since most of the times, Iron Eaters are gentle and rarely attack other creatures, but it was ramming itself into a tree to train itself instead. But with this, it's now exceptionally disciplined, and it trains of its own accord in the hopes of learning harden and becoming stronger as soon as it could. This might be a rare iron eater with a dream and is not lazy, but it's a shame that it lacks talent. But little did she knew, this was the perfect beast for Shiryu. Therefore, excitement filled his eyes, as he asked if what he heard was right, and that this cub is untalented, and its only redeeming virtues are its determination and perseverance, to which she confirmed it. Still, she tries to convince Shiryu not to be discouraged, since it's not every day someone gets to see a disciplined iron eater, and the only downside of being this active is coupled with a huge appetite. But before she could even finish her sentences, Shiryu told her that he will take the iron eater, because in Shiryu's mind, working hard and cheating is the way forward, and he doesn't want a docile pet beast that only knows how to eat and sleep, which surprises Shouju, because tamers are usually concerned about their pet beast's talents. So she even asks if he was sure about it, to which Shiryu responds that he likes hard-working beasts like this one, and he has a feeling that they will get along well together, as he asks if he could get a discount because of this. But to his dismay, even if Shouju understands his situation, she couldn't give him a discount on the price, since they treat every iron eater the same here. But if he picked this cub, they can give him 1 month's supply of iron bamboo, which Shiryu didn't hesitate to accept. With this, Shouju approaches the young iron eater, calling it 11, and telling it that a tamer has chosen it. But unexpectedly, the iron eater got spirit, as it stared daggers to Shiryu instead, because it believes that an iron eater will never be a slave. Iron eaters are fearless, and he can grow stronger on his own, so he doesn't need a tamer. However, Shouju had enough of his attitude, so she knocks some sense into 11, smacking him into the ground, as she explains to him that he won't have any food if he runs away, and he will learn how to harden much more quickly by becoming a tamer's pet, which means he can grow much faster. Besides, he will also gain a better environment to rest in, so it's far better than being here. With this talk, 11 only understood that she said the word food and bed, but this was enough to change his mind. Now 11 states that iron eaters will never be slaves and are fearless, unless food and bed are provided. With this, it was confirmed. 11 happily accepts his fate. This attitude of his only made Shiryu even more delighted, as he discerned it to be a smart one, since it's after a better environment for growth and good food. Therefore, he promised 11 that he could have anything he wanted once he became a powerful tamer. But before that, he will have to rely on this iron eater's efforts to make a living. With this, Shiryu asks if they can now forge the contract, to which Shouju approves of it, and she will stand guard. So without a second wasted, Shiryu activated his taming powers to start the contract. At the same time, Shouju couldn't help but be happy about 11, because he finally meets a tamer that wants him. Even though the tamers who came before think that it's untalented, she thinks differently, because the lack of inherent talent can be overcome with a good taming dimension, and this has been proven. Besides, its greatest talent is not giving up. Also, it has a hard-working personality that craves recognition, and as if fate has bound them together, a survivor of the rampage, an unwanted iron eater. With this combination, she is sure that 11 will certainly grow under Shiryu's care, as she wishes the two of them a better future. Finally, Shiryu successfully made a contract, but this was more exhausting than he expected, as it felt like he was being stretched thin. Unexpectedly, a warm sensation soon followed, and with this, he instantly recovered. Seeing that he was now fine, Shouju then congratulates him, and advises him to let it familiarize itself with the taming dimension. It's better not to summon and send it back too frequently for now, because if it can get used to the taming dimension quickly enough, it should be able to learn harden within a week. And surprisingly enough, his handbook informed him that it detected the new pet beast contract, so tamer points increased, and recordable skill slots also increased. And now that he has thought of it, he has gained power from his pet's energy. That must be how Shouju managed to subdue the cub, which delighted him. Even though the cub is very weak, he still got something out of it. But his thoughts were suddenly interrupted by Shouju, concerned why he was smirking all alone, to which Shiryu explains that it's just that he somehow feels an instant improvement in his body's quality, so he is still getting used to it, which she accepted as reasons. And now that he has picked a beast, Shouju tells him they will now get the rest of the papers settled, and the other things so that he can receive the iron bamboo that she promised him. But before all that, Shiryu tells her that he has another favor to ask her, which she thought it was something horny, so she looks at him suspiciously. But to her surprise, he just asks if he can take a look around, since he wants to take good care of his iron eater, in order to understand the real habitat of the iron eaters, which delighted Shouju. So she permits him to look around, and he can also bring his iron eater and play with it here anytime he wants, since this is its home after all. However, she clarifies that he won't be getting any free food here, but this wasn't a concern to Shiryu, because all he wants is to touch them. 2 hours later, he leaves the breeding place, since he got what he needed, acquiring the Iron Eater's skill called Harden, so that he can teach this to 11 as soon as he could. A few moments later, Shiryu arrived at his new apartment. Luckily, it looked like the perfect place for 11's training. Even though it was old and battered, they could easily change that. So, Shiryu summons 11 in order to clean this place up together. But before they could do that, Shiryu couldn't help himself but adore this little fella's cuteness. And now that 11 is in front of him, he decides to teach him Harden first. But to his surprise, 11 already manages to use Harden, and it even explained to him that he learned that skill after having a good nap. Now Shiryu realized how much helpful the growth-promoting effect of the taming dimension is. However, he didn't expect 11 to learn the skill so soon, since Lin Shouju said that he needed 1 week to learn it, so he was proud of 11 more than ever. After that sweet interaction was done, they were about to clean up the compound, but Shiryu noticed that 11 didn't even know the word, so he decided to do it himself, and try reteaching 11 Harden with the skills handbook instead, since 11's Harden should still be at the beginner level right now. Usually, to raise a low-level skills mastery from the beginner to the proficient stage, it requires at least 1 month of serious training. With this, he wonders how many days worth of mastery will one reteaching event be, and because teaching skills with the skills handbook requires stamina, he concludes that it would be best for him to try it out first with the most useless skill in the book, named Silk, and see how much stamina it requires. However, this skill cannot be taught to an Iron Eater, so he couldn't help himself but sigh as he wonders where he is supposed to look for new beasts to experiment on. Conveniently, he heard a loud rustle within the trees, so upon looking closer, he saw a cut-tongue worm, so he immediately orders 11 to catch it, while convincing 11 by explaining to him that this is his first battle after learning his skill, so that he would take it seriously, to which 11 didn't waste a second to charge at it, and just with that, 11 easily catches the worm, while the worm is having a mini heart attack seeing the demeanor of Shiryu, so it instinctively runs away for its dear life. However, there is no way that Shiryu would just stand by, since there's only a single mark on it, so it must have only learned the skill once. With this, he was determined to not let this perfect opportunity slip through his fingers, so he easily caught it again. But to his surprise, the worm still had a fight inside of it, so it didn't hesitate to give Shiryu a facial. Unfortunately for it, Shiryu was already a master on how to remove its silk, because of his 3 months of internship, so its attack was nothing for him, as he advises it to cooperate for its own good or he will feed it to that guy, who is drooling like a maniac just because it sees a free protein meal. With this, the cotton worm obeyed Shiryu as it accepted its defeat. Seeing that the silkworm was cooperating, Shiryu didn't hesitate to reteach the silk ability to it, giving it a massive boost. But unexpectedly, Shiryu suddenly felt weak, hungry, tired, and sleepy all at once, but he forgot about it as soon as he saw the cotton worm gaining its second stripe, which means he has successfully taught it. But at this moment, the experience of using silk for countless times entered the green cotton worm's consciousness, and it feels that it has become stronger. Therefore, it regained its fighting will, and without hesitations, it binds Shiryu's hands, as it attempts to run away. However, even if the threads were stronger now, there's still nothing to Shiryu, so now it realized that it could never escape from him. And because its mastery of silk has risen from the beginner level to the experienced level, Shiryu noticed that the quality of this thread, and that it is on par with the high-quality green cotton worms in the breeding base. It might be lacking in growth, but its mastery of silk is certainly the best. And what's even more surprising is that its level was raised alongside the skill mastery, which means that the green cotton worm underwent a second transformation due to its deeper understanding of the skill, or perhaps some of his power was channeled into it when he taught it the skill. Either way, the experiment was a success. Still, Shiryu had some stamina left, so he wondered if he could teach it some other skill. Surprisingly, there was a cooldown on all his skills, but it was understandable, since he might have been able to withstand the stamina consumption just now, but using it without restraint will burn him out, so a cooldown of 8 hours might be a protective mechanism, which he might only be able to recover after having a meal and a good night's rest. With this, he concludes that he has to train his body if he wants to use this skills handbook to its full potential, because if teaching a level-less skill requires 8 hours of recovery, teaching a low-level skill might need 1 or 2 days, while the middle and high-level skills might drain him if he doesn't prepare well. Now he wonders if there are food or supplements that can shorten the recovery period, so that he could be able to restore his condition swiftly after teaching a skill, because even pet beasts have supplements. Surely there are supplements for tamers as well. But seeing that it's getting late, he tells 11 that he will prepare the dinner, and it's going to be bamboo shoots with sliced pork and rice, which makes 11 drool even more. And with that, Shiryu decides to leave, as he advises 11 to have some rest for now, and he will call him when dinner is ready. Surprisingly, 11 doesn't want to rest, since he has finally learned Harden, and he is way too far behind his batch mates, so he wants to train right away. With this, sure you realize that Lin Xiaoju was right. Something is wrong with this Iron Eater. It feels that it's unworthy of dinner if it didn't train, and even though he tells 11 that there's no need to be in such a hurry, 11 was furiously shaking its head instead. So without choice, he permits it to practice his Harden in the courtyard while he waits, which it appreciates his decisions. However, there isn't anything 11 can use to train here, but to his surprise, 11 suggests to punch the wall, to which Shiryu didn't approve, so he advises him to practice activating, maintaining, and releasing the skill for now, and try to harden a specific body part within the shortest time possible, and it can practice the other techniques later, since he can't let it go around destroying things right away. It's disciplined, but it's driving him nuts, so he set his mind to buy training equipment for it soon, which he was reminded that he needs money to do that, but now it was not a problem to him, since he can raise the green cotton worm, and if its silk is of good quality, he can sell it for a good price. After all it needs to eat for now are ordinary leaves. With this, he decides to look after both of them. And once its silk reaches the perfect mastery level, it will surely be of good quality. Now, Shiryu's eyes are filled with excitement, because selling its silk will definitely help lighten his financial burden. A few moments later, they finish their food, and 11 is finally sleeping from all the exertion, but Shiryu couldn't help himself but be proud of it, since it won't eat unless it trained, and it even insisted on training after its meal. But now that he thinks about it, 11 might just be worried that he will be abandoned again if he is not working hard enough. So even though 11 is sleeping, Shiryu assures 11 that he won't abandon him no matter what. With that, Shiryu unsummons 11 to have some rest in the taming dimension. But now that he was alone, he has now got the time to think about why he was this broke. He doesn't even have a cell phone or a computer, so now he regrets returning 11 to the taming dimension. And thinking about it further, he realized that he missed an opportunity to use a panda as a pillow. The next day, the green cotton worm has now the ability to use its silk to take the leaves out of the tree without leaving its cage, but its meal was suddenly interrupted by Shiryu aggressively shouting his lungs out. And he was like this because he has finally recovered, and the cooldown period is over, so he can now try teaching Harden today. But before that, there should be supplements that he is looking for at the 100 Herbs Hall, as he decides that 11 can sleep in today, and that he will let him out after he is done with his shopping. And before he leaves, he approaches the worm and says hi to it. With this, he notices the leaves it collected, so it seems that this green cotton worm sure is carefree. And come to think of it, this worm is unusual as well, since the other worms would usually head toward more nutritious plants for their growth and evolution, but this guy didn't seem to care at all, as it ate the leaves of the untended persimmon tree, and it's no wonder that it was malnourished. If he hadn't taught it silk with his skills handbook, it would never be able to undergo a second transformation at all. With this realization, he decides to pick some leaves from the ordinary plants on his way home to improve its diet, since he still can't afford to buy the spiritual plants and fruits that are being fed upon by the green cotton worms in the breeding base. Luckily, there's an endless supply of ordinary plant leaves everywhere, and it's his important silk supplier, so there is no reason to let it die on him now. Soon after, he was now at the center of a bustling city, where things had changed considerably compared to the scenes in his memories, and so he was surprised to see an eco-friendly way to travel, and because of it, there was no pollution at all. But he feels sorry for the dogs though. Suddenly Shiryu noticed a gemstone cat that seemed to be running away from its owner, as he wondered if she was the one walking the cat, or if the cat was the one who was walking her, since pet beasts aren't usually that feisty, so he reckons that she's not a tamer, and the two of them must not have a contract. And the gemstone cats are only kept as pets, since the optical skills of gemstone cats have to be activated and evolved by using different cat's eye gemstones, and cat's eye gemstones are more expensive than gemstone cats themselves, so a gemstone cat without a gemstone can only be kept as a pet, but a gemstone cat with a gemstone, on the other hand, is a much sought-after beast. A few moments later, Shiryu has now arrived at his destination, so after he went inside, a man welcomed him. Therefore Shiryu didn't hesitate to inquire if they were buying silk, to which the man responded that they do, but only those produced by green cotton worms on a diet of specific herbs, and if it's high-grade silk and passes the composition test, they can purchase it from him directly. The man then gives him a purchasing guide in which the list of herbs can be found, in order to guide Shiryu on what diet the cotton worm should eat, which Shiryu accepts gladly. He was determined to do this, because considering his inheritance, financial assistance, and his monthly loan repayment, he can only support himself and the Iron Eater for another year, and if he can't become a professional tamer within a year, he will have to work a regular job at the breeding base, so he won't be able to afford the Iron Eater as well. However, he can earn money by selling silk, and if he can improve the green cotton worm silk to perfect level quality, he will be able to support the Iron Eater and even achieve financial freedom. And because he was inquiring about this, the man assumes that he was now interested in selling silk, to which Shiryu tells him that it was not the case, and that he is just here to have 2 vials of that medicine he was pointing at, which confused the man because this mofo just wasted his time. Still, he gave Shiryu what he needed since he was a customer. After a few moments more, Shiryu finally returned to his house. He was this tired because he was broke as fuck, and couldn't even pay to get on a bus without a cell phone, so he decided to get himself one once he had some money. After he was done resting, he went inside to put all the things he acquired. The medicine that he bought is a clearing capsule, and they seem to be made from several kinds of plant-type transcendent beasts. Clearing capsules are mainly used to relieve fatigue and strengthen one's body. The user can remain conscious and calm even when they are weak, and it's said to be effective, so tamers would take one after a battle, and the user will instantly feel refreshed because of it. However, he can't take the capsules like they're candy with his current financial situation, but with this, he can lighten the toll of using the handbook on his body. So now that he was prepared, he summoned 11, which he noticed that it looked to be in higher spirits than before, so he concluded that it must be the effects of the taming dimension. Expectedly, 11 was ready to train for 6 hours right now, but Shiryu told him not to be in such a hurry to train, and that he should strike a balance between work and play, to which 11 was confused why his master was adamant about stopping him from training all day. But little did he know, it is because the energy it absorbs from the taming dimension comes partly from its tamer. On top of that, Shiryu has to meditate to strengthen the taming dimension, and he has to use the skills handbook. With this, he could only sigh as he realized having a disciplined pet beast early on doesn't seem to be a good thing at all, so he was set on teaching 11 absolute slumber soon, since he believes that a mature Iron Eater should learn how to deal with its own fatigue after a training session. While 11 is furiously shaking its head, showing Shiryu that it doesn't agree with his decision, because it wants to train. So in order to calm 11 down, Shiryu tells it that it can train all he wants after he teaches it absolute slumber, to which it happily agrees with him. Still, right now, he will try teaching him Harden, so without a second wasted, Shiryu used his handbook and reteach the Harden skill to 11. With this, Shiryu realized that the exertion of teaching Silk and Harden is about the same. Unlike what he half expected to be knocked out from the ordeal, this is still manageable, but he does feel weakened, so it is a good thing that he has the medicine. With this, he felt much better. Now that his main problem was settled, he noticed 11's condition, which delighted him, since 11 is looking more powerful than ever, and it seems to level up just like the cotton worm did. Now that he felt powerful, 11 excitedly activated his Harden and used it on the ground, shocking Shiryu through his core, because his broke ass couldn't handle it. So he asked what is he doing, to which 11 was surprised at the same time, seeing what he managed to do to the pavement, which Shiryu explains to him that it was expected, since his mastery of Harden is at the experienced level now, and his combat powers must be several-fold greater than what it was now. With this sudden change in his body, 11 excitedly inquired what his tamer do to him, to which Shiryu was delighted now that his pet knew how amazing he was, as he asked if he is still in a hurry to train now. However, 11 did not answer his questions, because he was bothered that he did nothing, yet his Harden was much improved. This is unbelievable, so this mastery level doesn't sit well with him, but this attitude of his instantly change, after knowing Shiryu have used half of his stamina just to give him that boost, so he decides to keep it. Even if he has not earned the mastery level through his own hard work, he can make up for it, as he decides to train for 24 hours intensively without rest, to punish himself for gaining that mastery without effort, which surprised Shiryu, as he wonders just how disciplined can 11 be, and if the artists of the comics he was reading in his previous life were half as disciplined as 11 were, he wouldn't have run out of books to read, as he wished for 11 to show some restraint, because 24 hours of intensive training won't take him from the beginner level to the experienced level, it will only take him to the grave. At a later time, 11 is now doing his daily training, while he is always reminded by a sign in front of him, telling him not to hammer the floor, which he obediently avoid, while Shiryu is sitting on the side, looking at his handbook. And now that he can deal with the loss of stamina, the cooldown is now his problem, since it has become much longer. In other words, he has to wait another day before he can teach skills. Still, 11's Harden is now at the experienced level, so its maintenance and stability are much improved. He can maintain it for 30 seconds now, and the speed of activation and release has improved as well. So the main focus of 11's training now is to swiftly activate Harden, and harden multiple body parts at the same time. If it can do that, the skill can be used to attack and defend in battle. And Shiryu is not asking 11 to work on the strength of the skill for now, since it will probably destroy their house, and training equipment will be needed for that, but they will cost a lot. And since he can't help 11 now, he might as well see if there are any other reasonably priced alternative training methods out there. So he left their house, while in deep thought, thinking about how fortunate of him that 11's always training hard, but this is also putting a greater strain on his taming dimension. With this, he remembers the 3 elements of the taming dimension. First is the strength determining the binding intensity of the taming dimension. It's suitable for tamers who keep exchanging weaker pet beasts for stronger ones. Second, the scale of the dimension determines how many pet beasts the tamer can enter into a contract with. It's suitable for tamers who favor a battle of numbers. Third, the dimension's environment. It will determine the efficiency of the pet beast's processing of dietary nutrition and battle experience. Which means, the better the environment, the faster the pet beast will grow. So judging by his current situation, he should be focusing on improving his dimension's environment. Since 11 was born in a breeding base, it's unlike other wild beasts, so he doesn't have to worry about the binding intensity of his taming dimension. And Shiryu is not planning on having a second pet beast anytime soon, so there's no need to be worried about the scale of his taming dimension as well. So his current priority is to build a more comfortable environment for the Iron Eater. And after teaching it absolute slumber, 11 can train all at once, and it won't put a strain on his stamina. Coupled with 11's discipline, his taming dimension, and the support of the skills handbook, as long as it can get enough nutrition, Shiryu is sure that it will grow rapidly. However, the cost of buying food for it will probably skyrocket as well. But Shiryu did not let this bother him further, since he believes that everything will be worth it if 11 can become a dependable combat power. The next day, Shiryu is working hard as always, meditating outside their house. With this effort of his, he is almost done modifying his taming dimension, and 11 can move in once it's done with its training. Luckily, 11 is as disciplined as always, and he will be able to work on the strength of his harden starting tomorrow. The next day, Shiryu's packages finally arrived. With this, he received the durable alloy steel boards he had ordered 2 days ago. After they left, Shiryu summons 11. Suddenly he noticed that something felt different about the summoning today. And to his surprise, 11 has a new drip, so it seems that 11 has risen to the 4th transformation. With this, Shiryu realized that it was the right choice that he improves the taming dimension's environment first, and that he is one step closer to becoming a professional tamer. And Shiryu didn't forget to praise 11 for a job well done, and as a reward, he stated that he would buy something delicious today and could have it as an extra menu item to celebrate his achievement, which delighted him so. But before that, Shiryu tells 11 that he can now start working on the strength of his harden. Even if this wasn't a suitable environment for 11 to test the strength of his harden, he bought something for him. But to his surprise, even before he could finish his statements, 11 points his cheeks toward Shiryu, asking Shiryu to hit him with hard items to test his strength, to which Shiryu refused, since he can't bring himself to hit 11, and he knows that he will be the one who will go numb from the impact, and that's also too inefficient. Besides, he has made preparations for 11, showing him the durable alloy steel boards, because he can't have him hammering the walls, but he can hammer these, and if he thinks that he is not hard enough or that the effects of the training aren't noticeable, he can stack more boards on top of each other on the floor. Then, use gravity to support your training, either from the top of the tree or at the top of the roof. He can harden his entire body and charge toward the boards as much as he likes, which Shiryu proudly called his training by falling. And he can also adjust the intensity of the training by adjusting the height of his starting point. And this is much better than him hitting 11 with a stick. And if he can jump from the clouds and land without a scratch, he will be invincible. To which 11 happily clings on Shiryu, to express how delighted it felt, and now knowing how genius his tamer was. With this, a few days have passed in a blink of an eye, and now, 11 is bodying the durable alloy steel boards, making it look not so durable at all, as it broke into pieces. And even if 11 has sustained damages with him breaking this steel board, it wasn't a problem to him, since he can use quick heal on himself. With this, his conditions were good as new, so he continues his training without any problems, while Shiryu couldn't help himself but smirk, since the training with the alloy steel boards is going well, and 11's harden was now at the proficient level. And the boards can be used to train the strength of its harden, while it can also serve as 11's food, since he can now chew on and digest metals. And at the same time, the green cotton worm has undergone its 4th transformation, and it has also reached the proficient level with silk, so the durability of the thread is comparable to fishing lines, and it can use the threads as extensions of its own body now. With this, he is looking forward to the worm's growth, and it's thanks to these supplements that he can manage to train 11 and the green cotton worm simultaneously. And Shiryu feels an improvement in his body's constitution every time he recovers from the fatigue of using the skills handbook. It's just like the fatigue from working out, so he still have some energy to spare to go out of his house. And seeing 11 train, he was reminded about the skill mastery levels, which range from beginner, experienced, proficient, perfect, and flawless. And 11's hardened is now at the proficient level. It's also at level 5. With this, it can now achieve a fluid coverage with its harden, while the green cotton worm silk is now at the proficient level. It's also at level 4. With this, Shiryu discern that it's the right time to see the results of the training. So he tells 11 to take a break, because he will need the energy for his actual combat, which invigorates 11's fighting spirit. And they are going to do this, since there are 3 undisputed means to make a pet beast grow, which are food, training, and combat. But it doesn't have to be a life or death battle at this stage. What 11 needs now is a regulated battle against an opponent of similar strength in a reputable center, because sure, you won't risk 11's life, and it's better to develop steadily with the help of the skills handbook. And looking at his location, the forest is so far away, so he can't even venture into the wilderness and battle wild creatures. And to become a professional tamer, he has to pass the basic examination, actual combat examination, and survival examination. But he decides to deal with the survival trials when the time comes, since it's still too risky for them now, and he can just join the Tamers Association's wilderness training if he wants to experience battling in the wild, and it will be safer with professionals around. A few moments later, Shiryu have arrived at the entrance of the Tamers Battle Gym, so without wasting another second, he went straight to register for a battle. But since it was his first time here, he asks her if she could give him a tour of the place, to which she gladly did, explaining to him that they provide battle venues for beasts below the transcendent rank, and he can choose to have an arranged battle or a random battle here. An arranged battle is one where the tamer picks their opponent, and the gym will provide the venue, a referee, and medical services, while, in a random battle, they will randomly assign an opponent to the tamer based on the information the tamer provides them. The other services will also be provided. And there are 2 categories in the random battle mode, which are levels 1 to 6 and levels 7 to 10. These are grouped based on the levels of the tamer's beasts. So they will assign the tamer to a suitable level and randomly pick an opponent for them based on their pet beast's level. The fee for using the gym's services is the same across the board. It's $100 per person, which surprises Shiryu, because it is expensive for his standards, since he can feed himself for 3 days with that money. But considering the costs for the maintenance, referees, and medical services, it seems to be a reasonable price, and the fees might be higher if the government isn't supporting gyms like this one. And what surprises him even more is that there's also a gambling battle, in which the opponents may place bets and the loser will pay the fee for both participants. In other words, the loser will pay $200 while the winner won't have to pay a single penny. Upon hearing this, money filled his mind, so without hesitations, Shiryu told the worker that he would go with the gamble battle of level 6 and below. He was sure of his decision since 11 was currently at level 5. With its proficient harden and quick heal, they might even stand a chance against the level 6 beast. He even feels sorry for their opponent, but he has to do this to save money. And also, he won't have any complaints if he loses. So, he hopes he will get a weak opponent, but not too weak as well. Seeing how energetic Shiryu was, the worker gave him a form to fill in. So after Shiryu finished writing his information, he asked the most important question that lingers in his mind, and that is if he could increase the stakes of the gamble, because he might as well go all out with this. But unfortunately, they don't do that here, which disappoints Shiryu, because that's one less avenue to make money. The worker then gives him his card, and asks him to wait for his turn in the lobby. His name and the battle venue will be displayed on the screen when an opponent is assigned to him, which he leaves after thanking the worker. Meanwhile, another tamer has also registered in the random battle mode. He is named Shinkai, and he is here since his classmates are too weak for him, so he knows that he will never make it as a tamer in that environment. But this battle gym has no age or level restrictions, so it was a perfect place for him to learn from intern tamers. That being said, he is a top student, so he believes that it's impossible for him to lose. A few moments later, both of their names were called, and they had to fight in arena number 11, in which Shiryu was delighted because it was a lucky number for him, just like his beast's name, and this is a home field battle for him, so he enters the arena in high spirit. Surprisingly, Shinkai walked past him. With this, they got a good look on what their opponent looks like. Soon after, they arrived at the center of the arena, and before the match started, the referee introduced himself and stated their temporary rights to use Arena 11 for an hour. After that, the referee declared the battle to start, so without a second wasted, Shiryu summoned his Iron Eater, 11, and Shinkai did the same, summoning his own beast, an ice armadillo. At the same time, their battle is broadcasted throughout the gym, which caught the attention of many since it's the battle of novices. Coincidentally, a girl named Yue, who is a classmate of Shinkai, is also witnessing their battle, and it seems like Yue is holding Shinkai in high regards, because she can't hold a candle to him. In fact, nobody in their entire grade is a match for him, since his ice armadillo is a level 6 beast, and it has also reached the experienced level for both its skills, and because her pet beast is an Iron Eater also. Judging from her experience with this peculiar beasts, that Iron Eater should be lower than level 6, so she thinks Shinkai's opponent is going to lose, because it would have a hard time breaking the ice armor unless it has mastered hardened to the experienced level. Besides, Iron Eaters are known slackers, so Iron Eaters of this level usually only master hardened to the beginner level, and if she had another choice, she would never pick the Iron Eater just because it looks cute, since this pet beast is too lazy as fuck, so it's such a pain to train it. And it might not even be a match for the Ice Armadillo since the Ice Armadillo's skills are at the experienced level. However, in terms of overall qualities, adult Iron Eaters are better than Ice Armadillos, but that's when they're adults. This Iron Eater is clearly a cub. Now that the side character was done explaining, Shinkai commanded his beast to use Icy Slash, which it showed its explosive strength. Even the referee was amazed by it, as expected of a student from an elite school, but to their surprise, just with 11's harden, its Icy Slash shattered into pieces. With this, 11 has the chance to counter, so he didn't waste it. Still, the armadillo has a few tricks up in its sleeves, so it uses its ice armor to block the attack. However, with 11's harden coupled with gravity, his armor just shattered like glass, so 11's attack went through, knocking the armadillo into the wall, shocking Shinkai immensely. While Shiryu was delighted of this outcome, since the performance of Harden in actual combat has exceeded his expectations. If he knew that this would happen, he wouldn't have inspired 11's fighting spirits with its dinner, and it even surprises him that the match is over already, since this isn't what he expected when he signed up for a battle against an evenly matched opponent. With this, he decides to look for a stronger opponent after this, to further test 11's strength. At the same time, the referee couldn't believe what happened, seeing Harden at the proficient level by a young level 5 Iron Eater. Even Yue was shocked because of this, making her disown Shinkai as her classmate, while she was intrigued of the identity of Shinkai's opponent, since it's unbelievable for a level 5 Iron Eater to master Harden to the proficient level, so she wonders if the beasts have an amazing talent, or if that tamer is actually a high-ranking tamer who's training a new pet beast. It's either that, or he's from a rich family or a family of tamers with top-grade supplements or unique training methods, as she hopes that this won't break Shinkai's spirit. Meanwhile, Shinkai was in shock about what happened, and upon looking at that Iron Eater again, who is happily waving at him, he realized that society is full of monsters, and the school is the only place for him, while 11 is happily posing because he saw his efforts of waking up at 4 AM to touch a steel board come into fruition. After that, the referee declared Shiryu and 11 to be the winner, which delighted them immensely. Shiryu unsummoned 11 to have its well-deserved rest. Suddenly, Shinkai interacted with Shiryu, asking him if he was also a tamer from Pingcheng, or perhaps a student. He didn't mean to be rude, he just wanted to know who he lost to, since his strength was unbelievable. Luckily, Shiryu didn't mind his questions, so he tells him who he was, and states that he graduated in Glacier City, which surprises Shinkai, since Pingcheng District is only the suburbs of Glacier City, so it's only natural that the educational quality is lower than that of the city. Therefore, some students with outstanding academic achievements would do all they can to enroll in schools in the city. While he is an outstanding student in Pingcheng, compared to a student from the city, he is nothing. Still, he can't quite understand the difference between them, so he assumes that Shiryu must be one of the most outstanding young tamers in the city. With this, he realized that there is always someone better than him, so he decided to work harder. But as soon as Shiryu left the place, Shinkai realized something didn't add up about what Shiryu had said, since he was also going to graduate soon, and graduation was 1 month away, but Shiryu said that he graduated recently. The referee noticed that Shinkai was referring to the graduation timing of the battle major, so he clarifies that the other majors such as referee, medical, and breeding have graduates sooner due to their internships and job placements. This shocked him immensely, because the one that defeated him wasn't even a battle major. And to add to his troubles, the referee reminds him that his ice armadillo needs treatment, and also, this was a gambling battle, so he will have to pay for his opponent's fees. Meanwhile, Shiryu was surprised that he couldn't challenge opponents of a higher level. to which the worker reminded him that those are the rules. Tamers will be grouped according to the levels of their pet beasts, and this is because his opponent might not want to battle someone weaker than them, which disappoints him. Since he knows that everyone already saw the battle, he just easily won with his Iron Eater. That has a combat enhancement of the proficient level Harden, so it will be difficult for him to find a match unless it's someone from the level 7 to 10 category. But this wasn't a dead end, as the worker suggested that he could choose to battle someone he knows, and he could rent an arena, and they would provide him with the other services. Unfortunately, Shiryu was an introvert, so he didn't even know where to look for an opponent, and he doesn't know anyone there. Therefore, he just thanked the worker and left the place to head towards the Tamers Association, since it also serves the role of accepting and announcing missions with rewards, in which the Tamers can take on missions there and be rewarded once they're completed. And the list of missions has already been curated for intern Tamers, so Tamers will be put to the test in these missions. It is similar to the wilderness training organized once every 3 months by the Tamers Association in Pingcheng for intern Tamers, and these programs are meant to train local intern Tamers, since every city wants to have more professional Tamers that are also capable. This means missions and wilderness training sessions are meant to help intern Tamers build their foundations, while missions below the transcendent rank are focused on training Tamers and their pet beasts. Mainly, they are meant to provide training venues for the intern Tamers, so missions like those are tiring and unrewarding. He might be able to earn more by having his pet beasts transport bricks, but it's more important to find a suitable opponent from these missions than earning money. Even if he can't find a suitable opponent, he can still find missions suitable for Eleven's training. Shiryu is adamant about doing this, because he considers Eleven's mental and physical health, so he can't let it train at home all the time, since having him jump off a building day after day will certainly mess with his mind. And he noticed that 11 was clearly delighted after the battle. With this, he went ahead and looked at the 1-star mission first. However, this just surprised him at best, because it is a mission that requires him to catch organized stray cats that became a thief syndicate. But considering the intelligence levels of some transcendent beasts, it's entirely possible for them to form a syndicate, so it made sure you wonder what they stole instead, and he passed on this quest because of how absurd it was, as he went over to the next mission. But to his dismay, the mission was searching for a wind-type pet for a sparring buddy, so he also passes on it. With this, an hour has passed by already, but Shiryu hasn't decided on what mission he would take, since none of them are suitable for 11. And some of the missions are clearly aiming to hire tamers as cheap labor, like the capturing of live wind locusts mission for example, which a local restaurant issued it. Even though wind locusts are transcendent beasts, they are agricultural pests, and they are also a delicacy, and it's cheaper for them to procure locusts in this way, rather than purchasing them from the breeders. The only disadvantage is that it's less efficient this way, but this is clearly not an urgent mission with a time limit, so this mission seems suitable. But 11 can't fly, which means it will be difficult for him to complete this mission, because wind locusts can use the skill Wind Wing. Also, they're fast and nimble, while 11 could only harden its entire body to deal with the ice armadillo's swift attack. And 11's reaction speed and eyesight will prove disadvantageous against swift and nimble opponents. Surprisingly, with this, Shiryu realized that he should teach 11 Super Sight next time, because an Iron Eater's explosive strength coupled with Super Sight that enables it to precisely pinpoint its opponent's attacks will definitely improve 11's combat strength. And after teaching 11 Super Sight, he can let it take on this mission to train its reflexes, so he looks at the next mission with high hopes. Luckily, this mission seems to be more suitable at the moment, since Earth Rats are at the bottom of the pet beast world, and their race skill is Earth Escape, which only enables them to escape underground. And in terms of combat strength, Earth Rats are on par with stray dogs, so adults can even take them on with a weapon in hand. However, Earth Rats reproduce quickly, so there's usually too many of them. Also, they are nimble and would band together when under threat, so the threat of the rats cannot be judged based on their levels alone. Fortunately, their usual course of action is to escape whenever they encounter another creature, unless they have no other choice. Otherwise, they would have been a greater nuisance. Even so, they're worse than wind locusts. They're referred to as one of the 4 great pests. Even if there are fewer of them in the city, they are abundant in the villages, and it's difficult to get rid of them completely, giving everyone a headache. So several villages in Pingcheng district collectively issue the Earth Rat Extermination Mission. It's a long-term mission. Tamers would form parties and go exterminate the rats every day. With this, Shiryu chose to take this mission, even though exterminating Earth Rats might not be easier than capturing wind locusts alive. This might be a good opportunity to train 11's reflexes, since 11 will have to locate the earth rats and take them out before they escape. Just like in the game, Whack-A-Mole, Shiryu believes that this is for the better, since 11's hardened is already at the proficient level, so it's the right time to work on something else for a change. Coincidentally, Chinkai was also there, so he interacted with him without hesitations, while Chinkai was wondering what kind of missions would an elite like Shiryu take on. So he asked Shiryu in order to learn from his choices, but to his surprise, it was exterminating moles, which Shiryu will be doing it all on his own. This reaction of his confused Shiryu, so he asks him what the problem was, to which he explained that people usually take on this mission as a group, since earth rats are cunning, hence, it's easier to take them out when working with others. As he finished explaining, he noticed the opportunity to be with this expert, so he didn't hesitate to ask if he could form a party with him, which weirded out Shiryu, because to his knowledge, he is not a beautiful lady, and he destroyed Chinkai in their last battle, so he believes that there is no reason for him to do this. Therefore he tried to decline his offer in a kindly manner, telling him that the two of them won't make that much of a difference, but Chinkai was dense as fuck, so he didn't catch on the message Shiryu was telling him. And because Chinkai was also adamant in joining, so he states that he will ask two of his classmates to join them, so one of them can stall the rats, while others will attack. This way it will be more efficient, to which Shiryu thinks that it was an overkill, so Chinkai clarifies that a handful of earth rats are nothing to be afraid of, but if they gather in huge numbers it will be a pain to deal with them. Therefore, Shiryu realized that it might not be a bad idea to form a party. Also, he can't be a recluse forever, so he accepts Chinkai's proposal to be a standard 4-member party, which made Chinkai excited, since all he wanted is to see how Shiryu trains his pet beast, just how well he can train a lazy iron eater. At a later time, Shiryu returns to the 100 Herbs Hall, which surprises the worker, since this is his third visit this month, as he wonders what he's doing for a living. At the same time, Shiryu notices the suspicion on the worker's face, so he reasons out that his pet beast has been training and battling a lot lately, and he has always had a frail physique since young, so he needs the pill, but the worker didn't buy his bullshit. However, he still gave Shiryu the supplements he asked for, since Shiryu was his best client, while Shiryu is now contemplating switching to another supplier to protect his reputation. A few moments later, Shiryu and 11 are eating like crazy. After that, they are full of energy, so Shiryu immediately commands 11 to come closer to him, because it's time for him to learn a new skill, which disheartened 11. After all, he has always wanted to say that he is strong because of his own hard work. However, he can never bring himself to say that right now, as Shiryu is teaching him super sight, which he can activate it by using mental energy. With this, his eyesight should be boosted, and he should be able to see clearly at night. So after Shiryu was done, 11 went out to see how effective his new skill was, and to his surprise, the skill was super effective, which delighted him so, because now, it would be easier for him to train at night. With this, he will make up for all the slacking off he has been doing. Meanwhile, Shiryu was shocked that his skill handbook now had a 48 hours cooldown, but seeing 11 with such a high spirit, he decided not to mind it and just focus on recovering, as he hoped 11 wouldn't be crashing onto steel boards tonight so that he can get a good night's rest. Meanwhile, at Chinkai's residence, Chinkai was chatting with his classmates, asking to join him in taking on the Earth Rat mission tomorrow, but to his surprise, Shuangyu replies to him, saying that she saw him at the arena, which made him spit out his drink. With this, he panically replied back, feigning ignorance. Unfortunately for him, US saw everything. Now Chinkai realized that his reputation is ruined, because if she really saw exactly what happened to him at the arena, this means that all the girls in class will know about it as well, and this also means that the entire class will know that he was defeated by a random guy. And to add more to his surprises, Yue was inquiring if he knows who that tamer was, because she is thinking of getting some Iron Eater rearing tips from him, but he left too early and she couldn't catch up to him, to which Chinkai responds that she has come to the right person, since they are in need of 2 members, as he asks Yue to find another tamer with a control-type pet beast, because they have enough attacking power already. The next day, they met up at their designated meeting place. However, Shiryu was deprived of sleep, not because of 11, since he did do him the favor of sleeping last night, but because the after effects of skill teaching were too strong, and as they are wondering where the others were, they coincidentally arrived, greeting them casually. So Chinkai introduced them to Shiryu as Xuan Yue, his classmate, and the other girl who was Yue's friend, a tamer from the experimental middle school, Yu Jingjing, to which Shiryu politely says hello to them. but surprisingly Shiryu already rizzed them up, as the girls are already calling him master, which confuses him because to his knowledge he didn't do anything. So Chinkai explains to them why, telling him that they witnessed their match yesterday. Now that is settled, Chinkai tells them to introduce their beast, so they do just that. Chinkai with his ice armadillo, Yue with her level 6 Iron Eater, that is hardened at the beginner level, which she was ashamed of since Shiryu's Iron Eater already surpassed hers in terms of skill level, and Jingjing's level 6 Brambles, which has entangles at the experienced level, and lastly, Shiryu's level 5 Iron Eater, that has a harden at the proficient level, which they couldn't imagine how it was possible, while Shiryu noticed how dumbfounded his teammates were about his pet beast, but he is sure that their question will be answered once they see how hard-working 11 is. With that, they all register themselves for the mission, to depart at 8 AM sharp. As they were traveling, Chinkai remembered that Shiryu recently graduated, so he asked Shiryu if he really wasn't a battle major, to which Shiryu told him that his assumptions were correct. He is a breeding major, because fighting and killing are too gruesome for him, and he believes that mastering how to breed beasts is the way forward. So it's normal for a tamer like him with a breeding major to produce an Iron Eater with harden at the proficient level, but only shock can be seen on their faces, as they were still processing what he just said. A few moments later, they arrived at their destination, to which the workers were especially delighted to welcome them, since they were there to exterminate the rats, and the workers didn't even waste a single second to give them their gear, which Shiryu appreciates their passion. But now they were all alone. They wondered where are they even supposed to start. With no choice, Shiryu asks for them to summon their pet beasts first, as he thought 11's super sight would be paramount to locate the earth rats in such a complex environment, while the others happily obliged since this is what they came here for. With this, all their pets met each other, and now that Yue got a closer look of Shiryu's Iron Eater, she asks if he got his pet beast from the Iron Bamboo breeding base as well, since this Iron Eater's growth is perfect, and judging by the sheen of its fur or its physique, it seems to be in good health. So it is more likely that Shiryu is an apprentice of the Bamboo Rock Gym, to which Shiryu denies it. These two places are nurturing Iron Eaters, but they are also different, since the Iron Bamboo breeding base is where the Iron Eaters are bred, while the Bamboo Rock Gym is a dedicated training location for tamers with Iron Eaters, and the current leader of the Bamboo Rock Gym is a Grandmaster level tamer who focuses on raising Iron Eaters. His Iron Eater has electric and fire type moves. Aside from Harden, he has a unique way of raising Iron Eaters. He's said to be the tamer who knows how to raise Iron Eaters the best in Glacier City, which is why Yue was convinced that Shiryu was a disciple of the Bamboo Rock Gym. And Chinkai adds that Gym Leader Lin must be the most powerful tamer in Pingcheng. That is because the Bamboo Rock Gym Leader Lin is a Grandmaster tamer. And before someone gets to the Grandmaster level, they need to pass through intern level and professional level. And the professional level is further divided into the early, middle, and late stages, so it is a feat that few can achieve. While Jingjing's not sure if Gym Leader Lin is the most powerful tamer, but his daughter is the youngest professional tamer in Pingcheng. She passed the professional exam when she was 18. Then, she enrolled in one of the 9 major academies. She should have graduated by now, to which Yue had told her that Jingjing's information was outdated, since Lin Xiaozhu took up a breeding major and she's now back in Pingcheng. She even helped her pick her Iron Eater, because she said that she studied breeding because she wanted to research if Iron Eaters could possibly evolve further. However, they think that's a difficult research, because even the Grandmaster Lin has been raising Iron Eaters all his life, but he found no evidence suggesting that Iron Eaters could evolve. So it seems like this is as far as Iron Eaters can go. But as they were conversing, Shiryu and 11 noticed some movements underground, to which Shiryu commands them to stop the chit-chat and move. So they did just that, using their goggle. Chinkai judged it by its size, so he discerns it to be a level 4 rat, but it's isolated, so it's not much of a threat. The challenge now is to take it out before it reacts and escapes, and because earth rats are more sensitive to temperature than sound or light, Jingjing tells them that it might notice the Iron Eaters and the ice armadillo if they get near to it, so she will let her brambles get close to it while pretending to be a plant, and catch it with entangle. However, the rat was more nimble than expected, so it has managed to dodge her entangle ability. Even Chinkai's armadillo wasn't enough to block its path. However, the rat soon realized that he fucked up, as it sees 11 doing its superhero landing. With this, they have managed to tie it on Bramble's vine, while the other tamers was in shock as they wonder, what kind of power have they witnessed? Because it was like something fell from the skies. They were even convinced that they could take on a whole horde of earth rats with this Iron Eater. After that, They then decide to put this under Shiryu's score, since, without his Iron Eater, that Earth Rat would have almost certainly escaped, and now they realize that they had underestimated the reflexes of Iron Rats. Even with Jingjing's brambles, a natural predator in the wild, couldn't catch the Earth Rat right away, so she noticed that they still have some training to do, while the others gave a thumbs up to Shiryu for his excellent pet beast. While Shiryu is in deep thought, thinking about the reward for exterminating a single Earth Rat is only slightly more than 10 bucks, so if they exterminate 100 Earth Rats in a day, they will barely break even, considering 11's exertion and nutritional requirements. However, he decides not to be bothered by it, since the important thing now is to train 11's super sight, so he tells the others to stick to their plan and split up, which they agreed, because they should be able to move faster this way, since this farm and the forest area are too huge. With this, they formed a plan, which they would split up and deal with any lone Earth Rats on their own, and if they ran into a horde of them, they would call out to the others and think of a plan. It will be better for them to work together when it comes to that, and see who can take out more Earth Rats. But Yue wasn't excited about finding out about her score, because with her Iron Eater, she is sure to get last place, as she wonders why she feels that her Iron Eater and Shiryu's Iron Eater aren't of the same species. Meanwhile, Shiryu is now alone, so he talks to 11 to aim for 20 rats before noon. But to his surprise, 11 disagrees with him, and that is because he wants to take out 200, knowing that he couldn't get in the way of 11's determination. Shiryu just reminded 11 that he couldn't go around destroying the farmland or the fruit trees, because if he caused any damage, he would have to pay for them, and the money would come out of the budget for his food. Also, they won't be training with Harden today, since their main aim is to sharpen his reflexes and his physique, so he should be taking out Earth Rats without using skills. He was serious about reminding 11, since he knew what he could do. This guy could break steel boards, so they might destroy the fruit trees and farmland if they were not careful. And to make sure that 11 would take this seriously, he told him that he would use the reward to buy him extra food. With this, 11 immediately sprints over to do his job, while being as careful as possible. This even astonished the worker, as he couldn't believe that 11 was really an Iron Eater, since he had never seen one like it for as long as he had lived. While 11 stops for a second to ask his tamer, why won't he teach him Earth Escape, since he will be able to burrow underground and catch them with that skill, to which Shiryu smirks, because it seems like 11 has changed his mind about learning skills without effort, realizing how useful it is to have more skills now, to which 11 crossed his arms, as if he was telling his tamer that all of this was his idea, so he doesn't have to rub it in, and just teach him the damn skill that will be useful right now. So Shiryu clarifies that he won't be teaching him that skill, because he is leaving his skill slots for rarer skills. A few moments later, the worker was astonished as he asked for 11 to slow down, because his old bones couldn't catch up with his speed, while the others came back from their hunt, to which they were amazed that 11 was still at it. It's been more than 2 hours already, so they ask how can that Iron Eater still possess this much energy, to which Shiryu explains that this is a form of training as well, and all his Iron Eater does is eat and train, so this is nothing compared to his usual training load. And to Chinkai's surprise, 11 had managed to catch 22 rats already. That means he is catching 1 rat every 5 minutes. Now Chinkai asks Shiryu, since he thought Shiryu wasn't in his best condition in the morning, so why is he in high spirits now? To which Shiryu explains by showing him his senza bean-like supplements, and asks him to try one of these, since they work like a charm, while the others were flabbergasted, seeing the tamer was just like its pet beast. But with this, Chinkai now knows why he has fallen behind the tamers from the city, and talent isn't everything, since there are people who put in more effort than himself. Then, Shiryu asks about how many rats they managed to take out, to which Chinkai states that he got 7, and Jingjing got 6, while Yue is in disbelief since her Iron Eater is too stupid, so they only managed to get 2, which 11 proudly states that not all Iron Eaters are built the same as him. But the old man told her not to feel that way, because this little Iron Eater is just different in a good way, and the most efficient pet beast he has seen, so she shouldn't be hard at her Iron Eater, while 11 was pissed because a stranger is petting him. Soon after, Shiryu brought out their lunch, so they sat down and eat, while 11 was still doing his job. So Yue couldn't help but ask Shiryu if his Iron Eater ever rest, because this was unbelievable to her. Iron Eaters shouldn't behave like this, and she has spent a long time picking her Iron Eater in the breeding base, so how could she have missed such a lively Iron Eater? To which Shiryu responds that 11's behavior is also why 11 mastered Harden to the proficient level in the first place. With this, they realized how abnormally dedicated these two were, and Chinkai finally knows why the passing rate of the professional tamer examination in the city is so high. so he assumes that all the taming students in the city is as hardworking as Shiryu, as he asks Shiryu how he trained his pet beast to be this self-disciplined, to which Shiryu felt awkward about how Shinkai is exaggerating things, since he knows very well the reason why he and Eleven are like this, and that this unbelievable duo was formed out of pure coincidence, so it's difficult to explain to them what the real reason is, and he can't help it if Eleven is this hardworking. But Shinkai doesn't believe that they were exaggerating, since they have been inspired by Shiryu and Eleven's dedication, as Shinkai states that he will train his ice armadillo harder from now on, and Jingjing follows soon after, stating that she will purchase a box of clearing capsules from the pharmacy tomorrow and study all night. With this, hope filled their eyes, as they assumed that they finally learned the secret behind Shiryu's strength. While Shiryu was sweating like crazy since he knew that they had greatly misunderstood him, but he was powerless to convince them otherwise, so he just wished them the best of luck. Shinkai then asks Shiryu if he is preparing for the professional breeder examination, to which Shiryu responds that it was not the case. Even if he has a breeding major, he is thinking of taking the professional tamer examination for now. Shiryu decides to do this, knowing that if he becomes a professional breeder, he will be able to make a huge fortune. However, if his talents were exposed, he would be skinned alive. Even if this nation is under the rule of law, there is a tangible class difference between high-ranking tamers and civilians, and big companies monopolize the market. Factions and nations compete with each other. Even tamers would try to outmaneuver other tamers. Aside from the threat of humans, highly intelligent transcendent beasts are also looking to take over human territories. So, he can't use his skill teaching talent without restraint before he has the ability to protect himself. With this, it's better for him to pass the professional tamer examination in order to have a higher chance of touching higher level beasts and copying higher leveled skills, because he knows all too well that he can only survive in this dangerous world by becoming a professional tamer and improving his own skills. Shinkai then assumes that Shiryu must be thinking of taking the examination 2 years from now, so they might be able to see each other again, and because it's July now, the next examination date is 6 months away, so it was logical that Shinkai was thinking like this, since both of their beasts are of a lower level. Therefore, they aren't qualified to take the professional examination yet, and the first round of the professional tamer examination is a fundamental examination, so the pet beast should at least be of the transcendent rank. In other words, the pet beast should be level 10 and above. Also, it won't be easy for their pet beasts to reach level 10 next year, let alone the transcendent rank, so Shinkai is sure that Shiryu must be planning on taking the examination 2 years from now. But to his surprise, Shiryu was planning to take the exam this year, because Shiryu knows that his meager savings can't financially support 11 without a source of income, so he is adamant about getting his license soon and lessen his own financial burdens. While the others were in shock by Shiryu's bold claims, because his Iron Eater had just recently reached level 5. Asking it to rise to the transcendent rank might be asking too much from it, and many beasts have been stuck before reaching the transcendent rank, since it all comes down to the beast's ability to overcome this hurdle if it wants to rise to the transcendent rank. However, Shiryu was not thinking of reaching the transcendent rank, since he also knew that it would be difficult, but there shouldn't be a problem for it to reach level 10, since beasts below the transcendent rank can still take part in the professional examination, and that is the privileges of being strong, which he was talking about the special examination, the one where a tamer challenges a beast with a higher rank. With this, if his Iron Eater can't reach the transcendent rank, they still have this option, so it will be a walk in the park to challenge a beast of higher rank if his beast has a high-level mastery of high-level skills. Now shock fills Shinkai's face, as Shiryu is just spitting facts, while he realizes that Shiryu is way out of his league, and is planning far ahead compared to him, and with greater detail at that. With this, he decides to increase the intensity of his Ice Armadillo's training when he gets back. Unexpectedly, a siren suddenly went off, alarming everyone who heard it. They were then informed that the city had issued a rampage warning, code yellow, because a number of beasts were already making their way toward the wall, and they were expected to increase in numbers, which the other workers hurriedly take appropriate action according to the defense manual. With this, Shinkai and Jingjing were in a panic, as the elderly worker advises them to make their way home. But before that, Shinkai inquires about what the meaning of that announcement was, to which the elder responds that he is not so sure himself, but he is sure that the beasts on the snowy mountain are stirring again, and code yellow sounds serious to him, so if this escalates, they might have to evacuate. But Shiryu was calm as ever, since he knows that there's no cause to be flustered yet. Unlike the situation a decade ago, there is now a tall wall separating the snowy mountain and Pingqing district, and the Tamer army under the Tamers Association is stationed on both sides of the wall. They are their first line of defense against a rampage. and the warning is only meant to notify the villagers about the situation. It doesn't mean that there will be danger, so if there is a risk of the wall being breached, it won't just be code yellow. While Chinkai saw that Shiryu and Yu were calm, Chinkai assumes that there is no reason to be worried, so he also calms himself down, as he stupidly suggests to go where the monster was and take a look for themselves, which Yu aggressively refused, while the others couldn't believe he just said that. Then, Shiryu suggests for them to head back for now, since they can take on this mission whenever they want to, and they should ask about this warning after they get back to the Tamers Association. Soon after, they arrived at the Tamers Association, but to their dismay, the worker wasn't also sure about it himself. However, this doesn't seem to be the first time that this has happened this month. It was code blue for the 2 warnings before this. Luckily, Mr. Zhang, their teacher, arrived at the scene, and that is because he was in the area when he saw their messages in the group chat. So he thought of coming to take a look, but he didn't expect to run into them, while Shiryu was shocked to find out how they were chatting in a group that the teacher was also in. This was a group chat awaiting disaster if someone accidentally messaged a horrendous meme in there, and Chinkai introduced them to his teacher. He told them that he might have an idea about the rampage warning, but before they could discuss it, he suggested that they talk somewhere else, since it was too noisy at their current location. As they were walking, Shiryu was in deep thought, thinking if things did get dangerous, he should make preparations so that he could escape to the city with 11, since it's not safe here in the suburbs, while Mr. Zhang tells them that there is no need to be worried, since things are very different now compared to 10 years ago. The defensive structures around the snowy mountain are well built. Even if the situation gets dangerous, the Tamers Association will be able to react quickly. If the members here in Pingqing can't handle things on their own, the tamers from the city will be dispatched here. If the city's tamer army can't hold the beasts back, the tamer armies from the surrounding cities will swiftly send in reinforcements. Currently, the creatures on the snowy mountain aren't a threat to Glacier City. So even if there's a possibility of another rampage, at the moment, it's only a small-scale gathering of beasts, so it's not as grand as the sudden incident that took place 10 years ago. Suddenly, Shiryu asks Mr. Zhang, what is the reason behind this? Because the beasts should all be ice types. They should prefer the environment on the snowy mountain compared to the city. Also, the textbooks tell them that the main reasons for rampages are shortages of food, resources, and fierce competition. But surely these aren't the main reasons for what's happening on the snowy mountain. After all, rampages are usually predictable, but the one that happened without warning 10 years ago was an anomaly. Hearing Shiryu ask this, Mr. Zhang couldn't agree more. However, they are not sure about the reason either, so the trigger that brought forth the rampage 10 years ago is still a mystery. But if he has to make a guess, he will say that the city officials already have an answer, as he asks if they know about Glacier City's history, which they weren't, as they were clearly invested in listening to his statements. So Mr. Zhang continues, and clarifies to them that it's not exactly a history. To be exact, it's only a bunch of guesses at the moment, but according to archaeological findings, snowy mountains did not exist around Glacier City 2,000 years ago. This was the territory of a developed tamer tribe during that time, but an ice dragon came and landed on a nearby mountain. The ice dragon was powerful, so even though it was only living in the area, it triggered the start of the Ice Age, and this gave the tamer tribe a huge headache. So the tamer tribe decided to drive the ice dragon away and marched against it. With this, the great battle lasted for days on the mountain. It's even said that the snowy mountain was formed during that time, but fortunately, the tamer tribe won, since there's an ice dragon ruin on the snowy mountain. It's even rumored that the remains of the ice dragon are sealed inside. The tamers back then were the ones who sealed the remains, and even if it was already 2,000 years ago, the dragon roars can still be heard from time to time near the ruin. But the icy dragon should be completely dead by now. So there's speculation that the sealed ice dragon has taken on spectral form and is influencing the beasts on the mountain, and its dragon aura is making the beasts go crazy and exact revenge on the human settlements. This story scared Jingjing so much, as she attempted to cling to Shiryu for comfort, but Shiryu wouldn't be caught lacking like that, so he calmly prevented her from doing so, while the others were terrified the same way. And to further back up his claims, Mr. Zhang then points towards the statue, informing them that it's one of the artifacts the archaeologists dug up. It's said that the stone giant is the tribe's totem. So, Shiryu asks if did the tribe defeat the ice dragon with this, but to his surprise, a mysterious voice responds to him instead, telling him that's not how it was. And upon further investigating his surroundings, he was shocked to find out it came from the statue. However, to add more to his confusions, this statue has no signs of life, and telepathy should only enable him to listen to the voices of living creatures. And if there's something wrong with this statue, it wouldn't be placed here, as the statue keeps on repeating itself, telling him that's not how it was. Jingjing noticed Shiryu's troubled expression, so she didn't hesitate to ask if he was okay, to which he responded that it was nothing to be worried about, because he was just admiring the statue, which relieved them, while Shiryu was still in deep thought because of the interaction with the statue, and it felt exactly the same as when he is using telepathy, but it doesn't look like a transcendent creature at all, since this is nothing but a statue made in the image of the rock giant a long time ago, so it made him wonder if it turned into a spirit or something. However, if it evolved into a transcendent creature, the other tamers should have noticed it by now, because this is a busy area, so high-level beasts are common in the vicinity of the Tamers Association, and there are also plenty of tamers who can use telepathy. As Shiryu was in deep thought, Mr. Zhang parted ways with them, since he still had something else to attend to, and so Chinkai suggested going back to hunt earth rats. However, Shiryu now has other plans because of the statue. Therefore, he hurriedly leaves them before they can even further convince him to stay, which disappoints Chinkai, since he was still hoping to bond with Shiryu, and he didn't even get his contact. A few moments later, Shiryu was now inside the Pingqing District Library, and was reading books to learn about the history of his current world. With this, he now knows that this world's history can be largely divided into 3 eras. They are the Legends Era, Totem Era, and Taming Era. The Legends Era was when the first legendary beasts were born and when they ruled the planet. The Totem Era was when humans came into the picture and lived an ignoble existence in the territories of powerful beasts. The Taming Era is when humans started mastering the art of taming. And the Taming Era can be divided into ancient and modern times as well, which the turning point happened more than a century ago. 7 human nations formed an alliance. But there's a lot of missing information due to some specific reasons. For example, there is no explanation for the disappearance of the first legendary beasts, and the story about what happened in Glacier City 2,000 years ago isn't verified yet. With this, he couldn't find what he was looking for, but there was plenty of information on other things. However, he was convincing himself not to be curious and just leave the place, because he was already an archaeologist in his past life. And by some twist of fate, he stumbled upon an unknown branch of mythology. His curiosity drove him to change his career, and he became a mythologist. Then, exploring ruins in this unknown branch of mythology with his teacher became his daily routine. And one fateful day, the mountain collapsed on him while he was exploring a ruin, and he was buried alive, which he transmigrated hereafter. Now that he got a chance at a second life, he was double-guessing his decisions as he tried to convince himself further not to do this, asking himself why he couldn't just stay at home and play games or enjoy his comics, why he had to go around researching dangerous sites. In any case, he has transmigrated to this world, which is even more dangerous, but all he wants now is to live a fuller life in a safer environment. He wants to enjoy his current life, even though there seem to be more mysteries surrounding this world's history, and there is a more realistic mythological system he can't follow in his past life's footsteps. So he closed the book he was reading and left the place, but to his dismay, he was now in front of the statue, asking it if it talked to him during the day, but the statue didn't respond. So he asked the statue again if it was trying to say that the version of history that guy told them was wrong. However, the statue remained silent, making Shiryu irritated instead, so he threatened it that he would leave if it was not going to say anything. He was doing this since the version of history Mr. Zhang told them was based on inferences without any proof. So he tries again, but with more heart, as he asks it to tell him, so that he can tell the others the truth. With this, the statue reacts and starts to shake, but to his surprise, it reveals a crack instead, and broke itself to pieces, while a bolt of purple lightning emerges from it and a loud bang follows soon after, completely shocking Shiryu. Now he realized that he would be just damned if he does any archaeological work again, since this line of work is too dangerous. It's even more dangerous than being a tamer, as he runs away while shouting Eleven's name to come and save him. Meanwhile, everyone in town has noticed this ruckus that Shiryu made. Even the higher-ups in other districts and members of the association have noticed that something was off. A few moments later, Shiryu was sweating like crazy while he fed Eleven all the bamboo it could eat, hoping that Eleven would grow up quickly, to better protect the both of them, to which Eleven likes this treatment a lot, while Shiryu is having a mental breakdown inside, thinking of what he just did, so he decides to stay at home before he finds out what happened, and he won't go out unless it's to buy vegetables and medicine. Then he looks at the worm to tell it to do the same as Eleven, as he needed it to eat to make more silk, since he is still recovering from teaching Super Sight yesterday, and something like this happened. The next day, Eleven is doing alright as he greets Shiryu with a smile, while Shiryu is in deep thought, thinking about how he has not taught Eleven Intimidate and Absolute Slumber yet, since those are high-level skills, so it will surely wear him out more. Therefore, he decides to wait and see for now, and focus on raising the mastery levels of the learned skills instead. Shiryu then calls out the cotton worm, telling it to be 11's training partner today, and that it can have extra food as a reward. He decided this, since the cotton worm can now use its silk more flexibly, and one of the techniques it developed is Silk Ray. Even though its current strength it can't even penetrate the clothes he bought from the roadside stall, Shiryu is still satisfied with its speed. With this, Shiryu believes that it is a great way to train 11, whether it's dodging swift and fine rays of silk, or predicting the contact points of the silk and selectively hardening the corresponding body parts, so he left them to train themselves as he went out to get groceries. A few moments later, Shiryu was now at the bus stop, but to his surprise, the people were all talking about how the Tamers Association closed its doors to visitors today, because of the loud bang yesterday. With this, Shiryu realized that people must have noticed the shattered stone statue in the garden, as he hopes that they won't find out that he was the one behind it. And even though there was nobody else there, and CCTVs aren't a thing here, he was still troubled since this is a world where special powers are the norm, so they might have some novel way of tracking down culprits. However, he won't turn himself in before he knows what exactly happened yesterday, as he decides that it's safer for him to act like he doesn't know anything about this. Meanwhile, at the site where the large crack was located, several people were in front of it, and as they expected, it was an unexplored dimension. It can also be referred to as an ancient lost dimension, as they ask Dr. Liu what she thinks about this, to which she responds that this might be another opportunity for them. Since she failed to decipher the ice dragon ruin, they have too little information on their hands right now, so they can't know for sure what's the truth of the glacial plane, but perhaps they can find something inside this dimension which will give them more clues. But before that, she asks if there were any other strange occurrences in the other areas when this ruin appeared, to which the president of the association informs her that an ancient stone statue placed in the garden of the Tamers Association crumbled. With this, Dr. Liu concludes that this ruined dimension didn't appear by accident, and someone must have touched the signs of history, while she wonders if someone capable of listening to the voice of history showed up. 4 days later, 11 is flexing his guns, as Shiryu looks forward to seeing 11 defeating a higher level opponent. Even though 11 is only at level 5, he has an experienced level Quick Heal, Super Sight, and proficient level Harden. With this, the invincible combination is finally finished. However, it's difficult to find a suitable opponent, so it will be best for 11 to continue training, and it's also time for him to buy more supplements. So he went to the 100 Herbs Hall again, but the worker has now had the guts to advise him to cut down on his spending, since he is worried about the frequency of his purchases, which Shiryu acknowledges. But to his surprise, the worker tells him that he heard from the pharmacy in the south that a student bought a few boxes of pills 2 days ago, and that person was much crazier than he was. With this description, he got a hunch that it must be Chinkai. However, the worker couldn't help himself but sigh at how absurd the students are these days. But since this was the longest interaction Shiryu has with this particular worker, he asks why the Tamers Association closed its doors, to which the worker excitedly responds that he has asked the right person, even though it's not official yet. There's a huge possibility that Pingqing will take off. This statement confused Shiryu, so he asks to elaborate. Hence, the worker did just that, telling him that his sources say that an unexplored region has appeared. It is like an alternate dimension that exists independent of the dimension they are currently in, which the unexplored region was once a taming dimension. With this, Shiryu was delighted, since it's been almost a week, but now he finally had some information, and it didn't sound like some kind of crisis. As the worker continues, explaining that, it's said that a taming dimension will collapse with the death of the tamer, but the taming dimensions of some powerful tamers will linger even after their deaths. The lingering taming dimension will form an independent unexplored region, which can also be called a small world. At this point, the unexplored region no longer possesses the capacity to bind transcendent beasts. It is now a completely independent dimension, and all life forms can enter it, depending on how much the tamer developed the dimension while they were alive. The environment inside it could still be suitable for the growth of certain beasts, although the effects would be weaker than when the unexplored region was a taming dimension. The unexplored regions are still filled with energy, so they serve as wonderful environments for the cultivation of spiritual plants and pet beasts. With this, Shiryu asks if this taming dimension came from the ancient tamers, to which the worker confirms, because by their modern standards, the weakest tamers back then were at the legendary rank, which is one rank above the Grandmaster rank. And if it really is an unexplored region, there will surely be many rare resources or pet beasts inside. Even if there's nothing, it is still a magical land that can produce valuable resources for a long time. So now that it has appeared in Pingqing, they will be the greatest winners, and if they can develop it properly, their economy can get a boost. However, Shiryu was not as thrilled as the worker was, since there is still the possibility of monsters lurking inside the unexplored region. However, the worker wasn't bothered by it since there have been no reports about this yet. Even if there are monsters, he believes that the big shots will take care of them. With this, Shiryu left the place with a clean conscience because it looked like the statue being shattered wasn't a bad thing. But now he wonders how he fucking summoned an unexplored region just by talking to an ancient rock statue. And does it really have anything to do with the true history? In any case, he decides not to be bothered by it, since it's none of his business now, while he apologized to Mr. Statue, because he promised it that he would restore history to the truth. But judging by the current situation, he can't even get close to that unexplored region. But since he promised, he has to stick to his word as he decides to think about it again when he is stronger. But suddenly, someone knocked on his door, introducing themselves as welfare aid, to which Shiryu was touched that people were sending help to him because they knew that he was an orphan. But since he wasn't answering, the person from the other side assumed that nobody's inside, so they decided to break in, which surprises him quite very much. But before they could do that, Shiryu reacted, telling them to wait, as he was wondering how kind can they be to break into someone's house just to deliver aid. With how suspicious this was, Shiryu concludes that the real reason they were here is to capture him for what he did. And it's not unthinkable for some transcendent beasts to know strange skills like aura detection, foresight, and retrace, as he couldn't do anything but curse while opening the door. Surprisingly, it was Dr. Lu with her wind lion, and now that Shiryu opened the door, she introduced herself as Lu Qingyi, with a PhD in archaeology from the ancient capital university, and a member of the Eastern Glory Archaeological Association. And she is here, since she has some questions for him, as she hopes that he can give her his cooperation. While this surprises Shiryu, he couldn't help but pity this fine young lady in front of her, because he knows that there's no future in archaeology. With this, he welcomes Dr. Lu into his house with a saddened face. Now that she is inside, she decides to skip the bullshit and tell Shiryu that she reckons that he has something to do with the shattering of the stone statue at the Pingqing Tamers Association. However, she assures him that she doesn't mean him any harm. All she wants to know is if he heard a voice coming from that statue. So Shiryu asks if that statue is alive, to which she clarifies that it's an inanimate object. And since telepathy is only supposed to enable the user to communicate with other living creatures, he wasn't supposed to hear it. However, there are exceptions to everything. Inanimate objects that carry the convictions, beliefs, determinations, and emotions of living creatures can potentially form a spirit of their own over time. But the spirit is an ethereal concept and it has nothing to do with life, the mind, thoughts, or the soul. So in archaeology, they call it the traces of history, and only a handful of telepathy users can hear these traces. That is why in archaeology, tamers who possess this capability are also known as those who can hear the voice of history, or the hearers. With this, Shiryu now knows he is one of the special telepathy users, to which Dr. Lu holds with high regard because, to her, the ability to hear the voice of history is an amazing talent, since throughout this world's history, there have been many blanks, countless truths have been buried. While exploring ruins is the main avenue for them to understand this world's history, the ruins are often protected by transcendent powers, so it's extremely difficult to decipher and locate them. But the hearers can find and decipher key information regarding the ruins with much greater ease than ordinary tamers. Just like when he came to stir the spirit of the stone statue, he triggered the appearance of an ancient ruin, so the truth behind Glacier City's history might be revealed because of this. And she came here for him because he is talented, and that makes him a natural archaeologist. So she wants to invite him, but before she could even finish her sentences, Shiryu is having a mental breakdown already, because he doesn't want to do any of this archaeologist shit in this life, and he already has other plans in mind, like how he wants to make some money, keep a panda, then find himself a beautiful girl and they will have a cat together. They will move to a safe city where they will live a safe and carefree life. With this, he didn't hesitate to refuse Dr. Lu's proposal to join any archaeological association, to which Dr. Lu clarified that she never said anything about inviting him to join the association, and it's a bit of a waste for him with this talent, because including him, there are only 11 hearers in the entire nation at the moment. That's lower than the number of legendary tamers and divine ranked beasts protected by the nation, which means he is a big deal. So she is thinking of inviting him to join another organization, and he doesn't have to turn her down right away, because men rarely speak their minds anyway. Having this talent is a sign that he liked this field, otherwise, he couldn't have possibly heard the voice of the stone statue. With this turn of events, Shiryu was deeply thinking about how hearers are rarer than legendary tamers and totem guardians, making him a national treasure. However, he wonders why it is the number 11 again. Is it written on his birth chart or something? And if hearers are really that difficult to come by, he would expect a lot of benefits by joining this organization. And since Dr. Lu has been sincere in inviting him, he decides to do her a favor by hearing her out. So Shiryu asks her about this organization and what benefits he would come by, to which she responds that the benefits are great. She can even say that he will receive more benefits than a legendary tamer. To put it simply, once he is an official member of the organization, he will enjoy a higher status than a legendary tamer. If he can get the funds, he can even hire legendary tamers as bodyguards when he is exploring a ruin. With just these few words, Shiryu's eyes lit up, because even the president of Glacier City's Tamers Association is only a grandmaster, so he hasn't reached the legendary rank yet, and legendary tamers can command overlord rank creatures. They're usually in charge of important offices in first-tier cities. As he wonders just how amazing this organization is that she's inviting him to join, and he doesn't seem to have anything to lose by joining. It even feels like he is a main character of a story. It's a good thing to have an organization backing him. So he concludes that it will be smooth sailing from now on, while he feels that he is truly blessed, because who would have thought a beginner tamer shouldering numerous loans would become a legendary persona overnight? How could he resist? But before he joins, he composes himself and asks her about what is his duties if he joins the organization, to which she responds that he doesn't even have to do anything, since the organization has a simple structure, so there are almost no restrictions on the activities of the members, and members won't be coerced or forced to do anything as well. That being said, she believes that tamers with a talent like this will hardly stay put and do nothing, because hearers are usually the first to rush to the scene whenever there's news about a new legendary ruin being discovered, and they will either support the exploration or lead the exploration themselves. After all, this unique ability is never possessed by ordinary individuals. But little did she know, Shiryu already had enough of that in his past life, as this was a dream come true for him. In other words, if he could control himself, he won't have to carry out his duties in dangerous locations even after joining the organization. On the other hand, he can even get loads of resources, bodyguards, and information whenever he wants to. With this, he excitedly asks her about the organization's name, to which she responds that it is the National Department for the Strategic Investigations and Reinforcements of Ruins. It's also known by its serial number, Department 11. He can think of the organization as a special department dealing with important ruins, and its members as the special forces of the archaeological field. While Shiryu couldn't believe that it was the number 11 again, so he was now double guessing if he should really join this organization. But since he had asked her a lot about it after she came knocking on his door, and he does have this unique talent, he can hardly refuse now. So he accepts her proposal to join this organization, and he asks Dr. Liu if she is also a member of Department 11, to which she answers yes, and there are currently 11 members in the department, including the two of them, which Shiryu couldn't believe that it was the number 11 again. But now that Shiryu accepted to join, Dr. Liu welcomed him to the department as she declared that from this day onward, he is a probationary member, to which Shiryu excitedly shook her hands. But as soon as he got to think about it a little more, he realized that he had been tricked and wasn't an official member. Dr. Liu clarifies to Shiryu that every new member will have to pass a test. This is the only way that he can become an official member. Besides, Dr. Liu reminds him that he is too weak at the moment. However, the organization will provide him with 10 million bucks as his starting funds, so his current priority is to grow, and he must at least become a professional tamer and systematically gain archaeological knowledge. But just with the starting funds, Shiryu was sold and regained his excitement, as he assured her that he would complete the mission. But before that, he asked when he would be getting the funds. Shiryu was like this because to him, 10 million is much more enticing than having legendary tamers as his bodyguards, and he can stop training the green cotton worm with this money. So, he had a change of plans as he said goodbye to the worm since it was free to go now. Then, Dr. Liu answered his question, telling him that he would get his funds tomorrow and receive his documents with it, but she advised him not to tell anyone he is a member of Department 11, unless the situation calls for it. Otherwise, the international spies will give him a headache, and Department 11 is also the only organization that knows he is related to the appearance of the ruin in the Pingqing district. So before he becomes an official member, she will be his only contact point with the organization. This made him think, since there are only 11 people with this talent in the entire nation, so he is one of the key talents capable of deciphering the mystery behind the ruins, he will surely be targeted. To top it all off, he is weak. And as he was in deep thought, Dr. Liu remembered that she had forgotten to tell him the most important thing, so she informs him that his test is to investigate the truth behind the Glacier City's history. Luckily for him, there's no time limit, and he will become an official member after he succeeds. And even though she couldn't decode the mechanism of the ice dragon ruin on the snowy mountain, because of how she lacked crucial information, she thinks that Shiryu is the key to finding the truth. She believes this, because hearers can't hear everything, and certain turning points are needed for them to listen to the traces of history. So Shiryu must be wanting to find out about the truth more than her. That is why he was able to trigger something. With this, she was more than sure that this mission was made for Shiryu. And now that Shiryu knew that Dr. Lu wants him to find out the truth about Glacier City's history, he excitedly asks if he can explore that new unexplored region, to which she responds that he could, since unexplored regions are special ruins. Even without using his identity as a member of Department 11, there's a high possibility that he can enter them. And Dr. Lu adds that what he does next will form part of his test. But before he could set on and do his mission, as his recommender, Dr. Lu gives him a present. However, he may only choose one from the 3 things she states, which is a skill tome usable by Iron Eaters, a unique evolution method for green cotton worms, or a young high-ranking pet beast. And after she said that, she couldn't help but notice that the green cotton worm in front of her was raised well, and its silk must be of a high level, so it will be able to evolve without issue, as expected of a breeding major graduate. With this, she assumes that Shiryu might even be keeping the worm just for fun, or to contract it after it evolved into a wind crystal butterfly. While Shiryu was still daydreaming because of the choices that she had just said, as he didn't expect this, since he would have been satisfied with 10 million bucks alone. But now she was going to give him something else. And even though he doesn't think it's a good thing to accept gifts frequently without giving anything in return, he was taking advantage of them from the start anyway. So he decides to go all out and take her offer, as he contemplates if he takes the Iron Eater's skill tome. Even though 11 has enough skills for now, he believes that having an extra one won't hurt, and it's better to have a skill obtained by conventional means. Or he can also take the green cotton worm's evolution method. He was planning to let the worm go, but keeping it for a while longer sounds like more of a good idea, since he has taught it silk many times and has reared it for so long. It would be a shame to let it go, and he hasn't sold any silk yet after rearing it for so long. So if the green cotton worm can evolve into a good beast, he can have it work for him. Or he could take the last choice, the young high-ranking pet beast. Having a unique pet beast sounds like a good idea to widen his horizons, and it would be great if he can get a creature similar to the mythical beasts back on Earth. But now that he got to think further about the benefits of her gifts, he wasn't sure what to get. With this, he asked Dr. Lu if he really had to pick one, and before she could say otherwise, he used his shamefulness at full force, using her own words to his advantage. Just like what she said, he has to grow stronger as soon as possible for him to contribute to archaeology, so he really needs all of it. Surprisingly, Dr. Lu approved of it, giving it to him as an advanced payment of his salary. But since Shiryu won't be able to contract a young high-ranking pet beast right now, she decides to give it to him once he becomes a high-ranking tamer. Dr. Lu decided this, since she knows that Shiryu is currently an intern tamer, which means he can only contract a single pet beast, so he'll only be able to contract a second beast after becoming an early-stage professional tamer. However, it's still difficult for an early-stage tamer to contract a young high-ranking pet beast, because the level of the taming dimension won't be able to maintain the accelerated growth of a high-ranking beast. While Shiryu understood this as well, and gaining a new young pet beast won't make a difference, so he accepts Dr. Lu's decision. Then Dr. Lu talks about the Iron Eater's skill tome. Even though she is not too familiar with Iron Eaters, she heard that the Bamboo Rock Gym in Pingching has 2 skills suitable for Iron Eaters, so she will give him a recommendation letter tomorrow. With this, he can learn it from the gym leader at any time he wants. However, this deal didn't excite Shiryu, since he has been planning to do that all along. But he wasn't that shameless, so he just let it be, as he decided to hear the next one about the evolution method. And to his surprise, Dr. Lu assumed that he was thinking of raising the green cotton worm until it became a wind crystal butterfly and then contract it. So he clarifies to her that it was not the case, because green cotton worms are one of the beasts with the most potential, which he can't help but want to give it a try. This response made Dr. Lu think, because of how true it was, that green cotton worms are one of the beasts with the most potential, and it has the most evolutionary pathways out of all known pet beasts, since they can undergo complete metamorphosis, and depending on the rearing method, they can evolve into moths or butterflies, of which there are dozens of known species. This is also why most evolution researchers would start their research career by studying green cotton worms, and the fact that green cotton worms have a short developmental time, and the process of the worms emerging from their cocoons is like a lucky draw. Everyone felt like it's gambling, since nobody knows what will emerge from the cocoons, making the anticipation exhilarating. Knowing this, Dr. Lu decides not to tell Shiryu about the transcendent rank pathways right now, but she knows 3 chief rank evolutionary pathways, and he can choose from them. So if the green cotton worm were raised right, its potential would surpass Shiryu's Iron Eater immediately, which means it's a suitable second pet beast. This intrigues Shiryu, so he asks her about the 3 pathways, to which she explains that they are the low, middle, and high-grade chief ranks. the difficulty of evolving into those 3 forms increases accordingly. Firstly, there's the low-grade chief rank evolution, the ice crystal swallowtail butterfly. It's both a wind and ice type. The most powerful skill it can learn is blizzard. Then there's the middle-grade chief rank evolution, the ghost beautifly. It's a dark-type beast skilled in curses, sneak attacks, and assassinations. Lastly, there's the high-grade chief rank evolution, the Morphohelena butterfly. It's a light-type beast skilled in using light rays and illusions. However, specific materials and food are needed to evolve into these forms. Also, before the cocoon phase, the worm must at least master silk to the proficient level, if not the perfect level. This way, the beast's full potential can be drawn out, but it's very difficult to achieve the perfect mastery level, so there's no need to force it. After all, the lifespan and talent of a green cotton worm are limited. Upon hearing how all 3 evolution forms sounded amazing, Shiryu was thrilled beyond belief. Aside from certain materials, the only other requirement was for the worm to master silk to the proficient level to evolve into one of these 3 chief-ranked forms. He even thought that the perfect level would have been the lowest requirement. With this, questions filled his mind, wondering what would happen if it achieved a flawless mastery level, and would it be possible for him to draw out 200% of the beast's potential. So he asks Dr. Liu about this, to which she tells him that it's not impossible. If he can find an unexplored region or a ruined dimension suitable for the growth of green cotton worms and raise it with great effort, he might be able to raise its mastery level while the worm is still alive. Or he can become a legendary tamer and then raise the green cotton worm. But it's obvious that this isn't the most efficient way, since the green cotton worm can't live that long to begin with. And these are the only 2 methods he can try that has a successful case before, in which the green cotton worm evolved into the sovereign rank form, the ice phoenix moth. But before he tries this, Dr. Liu advises him that he shouldn't be too greedy, and it's not necessarily better for the worm to have a high-level mastery of silk before its evolution. Even though it's true that the beast will have greater potential post-evolution with a higher level of mastery of silk, the difficulty of evolving will also increase, which means there is a risk of the beast failing to emerge from the cocoon. So, there's no need to be obsessed about achieving a perfect level mastery of silk, unless he is confident that the evolutionary materials he uses will make the green cotton worm learn a new skill throughout the evolutionary process without fail, and that this skill will help it break out of the cocoon. But not even the best evolution planner can guarantee that. But little did she know, this information just made Shiryu happy. So if that's how green cotton worms evolve, he might not have to stick to the known pathways, as he decides to teach it some skills before it forms a cocoon. This way, it wouldn't have to stick to the conventional evolutionary pathways. It can break the cocoon by using the skills it already knows. And with a high-level skill, there won't be a risk of it failing to break the cocoon. At the same time, he can push its level of silk to the highest so that it can be nourished by the highest quality cocoon, which excites him, thinking that this might actually work, since he can totally break from tradition and use this unconventional evolution method. And he is now beginning to understand the feelings of the evolution researchers, as he chooses the evolutionary pathway of the Morphohelena butterfly. While knowing that it might not necessarily evolve into this, he knows that he can't go wrong by picking the rarest form, and he will just use the required materials for this form as a reference for the other evolutionary pathways. While Dr. Liu expected that he would pick the highest grade form, but since she had already warned him about the increasing level of difficulty, she just let it be, as she just decided to advise him that he should make the necessary preparations before letting the green cotton worm attempt evolution, because wasting precious evolutionary materials is one thing, but if his green cotton worm fails to break the cocoon, it might be trapped inside and die. And to help him avoid that, she gives Shiryu the detailed guide for its evolution, so that he could study it carefully and think things through before he acts, which he understood quite well. With this, Shiryu now knows the requirements for the evolution into the Morphohelena butterfly, especially the materials, such as a juvenile heart of light, ripe sunflower petals, fluorescent core, shining fungi, sunlight rock powder, and mature shiny grass. Then, the worm will form a cocoon after consuming the evolutionary materials prepared according to the recipe, and 30 days later, it will learn the new skill inside the cocoon, called Rainbow Ray, which it will emerge from the cocoon and turn into the Morphohelena butterfly. But now Shiryu realized that this path was complicated. Besides, he could tell that these materials would cost an arm and a leg just by looking at their names. He is not even sure if 10 million bucks are enough to buy them all. And even the iron bamboo, which was the cheapest level 1 resource item, was already expensive for him. So looking at these items, which are at least level 3, discourages him. Therefore, he decides to look for a cooler evolutionary pathway themselves instead, since it's too expensive to let it evolve into a high-grade chief beast, and they will only go with this recipe if they were not sure they can pull the unconventional method off. After that, Dr. Lu bids him farewell as she praises him for a job well done in raising this iron eater and green cotton worm, while Shiryu is in deep thought, wondering if it is a good idea for him to join Department 11. But even though he keeps saying that he doesn't want to go back to his old career, it's just as Dr. Lu has said, if he was genuinely against the notion, he wouldn't have resonated with that stone statue. So he decided to accept his fate and enjoy the fact that he would get money tomorrow. With this, he went to a mall to splurge his money, buying a phone, which he specifically wanted one that could connect to the internet, detect energy levels, and has a pet beast almanac, which the worker immediately showed him the latest model, the Almanac MBO, with entries of 6,029 beasts and their skills. Also, it can accurately detect microwaves emitted by beasts below the transcendent rank. However, it's also priced at 99,998 bucks, to which Shiryu thought it was expensive, but as long as it contains those functions, he may buy it still. So he asks the worker if he could try it out, to which the worker approves of it. So he tries to identify the nearest beast he saw, which is a mechanical dog. Surprisingly, it has a high-level skill, so it makes him wonder if there will be a bug if he tries to copy it. However, he soon realized it would be difficult to touch it after it self-destructs. Besides, 11 and the green cotton worm won't need a skill like this, so he decided not to copy it. At the same time, he was amazed that the phone detected the mechanical dog's growth level with the basic energy wave detection function, which he likes this function the most, because he might be a top student, but most of his knowledge is about transcendent creatures, and he would never dare to say that he knows about all of them as well. But with this phone, he can get the relevant information at once whenever he meets a new beast, which his journey will be easier with the help of technology. But it's too expensive, and if he bought it now, he would be emptying his bank account. And if the 10 million bucks Dr. Lu promised isn't transferred into his account tomorrow, he and 11 will have to eat dirt. With this, he realized that he should have come here tomorrow, but since he was here already, and Dr. Lu had already given him a rare evolutionary pathway guide, so there was no reason that she would lie to him about the 10 million bucks either. Therefore, he decided to take it, which made the worker happy. After that, Shiryu was now walking at the mall while thinking about how 11 had been eating a lot of iron bamboo lately. It loves the bamboo, but it's also time to give it an upgrade. So he went inside a pet beast supply to try and buy the metal core wood. As the name suggests, it's a type of wooden material containing metal ores. It's one of the spiritual plants with unique contents. It's also one of the food items for iron eaters. Since it has the attributes of metal and wood, it can improve an iron eater's harden and vitality. And metal core wood has a higher nutritional content than iron bamboo, but it's usually eaten by transcendent rank iron eaters, as lower ranked iron eaters can easily be overnourished. However, it's unlikely for 11 to be overnourished, since its caloric intake is several times higher than that of an ordinary iron eater, and its training volume is also several times larger than that of an ordinary iron eater. So Shiryu discerns that this would be perfect for 11. Also, there's no need to upgrade the worm's diet for now, so he decides to skip it, and there is a higher grade supplement as well, but he still has his pills, so he passes on this too. A few moments later, Shiryu was now lying on his bed, busy adjusting his phone for his personal use. With this, he could finally obtain information from the Tamers Association on his phone, so he didn't have to go there personally anymore. And to his surprise, the association has just sent out a message informing them that the Pingqing District ruin is open already, and its finders keepers at that. Still, Shiryu was cautious of this, because who knows if there were treasures inside the ruin. There might be nothing but monsters, as he realized that this is exactly the reason why. Dr. Lu said that it's possible to enter the ruin without using his identity as a member of Department 11. They're trying to use the explorers as beast fodder, and they require the explorers to have a certain level of combat skills, so there must be a catch to this. With this realization, he decides to see first if anyone shared their experiences of exploring ruins in the past. But before he could do that, his attention was diverted towards his pet beast, telling him that they were starving, but since he will get a ton of money tomorrow, he happily states that they will be feasting tonight. With this, the food he prepared looked yummier than before, so without hesitation, they gobbled it up like there was no tomorrow. And as they were eating, Shiryu told 11 that they would prepare for the wilderness combat training after this, which 11 was ready for it as always. 11 was excited about exploration because, for him, it's meaningless to train hard if he can't showcase the results, and that ice armadillo and the horde of earth rats weren't enough to make him display the outcome of his training completely. And after meeting the wind lion, and the pressure he felt from it, he set his goal to challenge it, but he is sure that he can't defeat it at his current level. Shiryu also knows this, since the wind lion is a chief-ranked beast. The pressure it exerts on young beasts such as 11 is strong, but the pressure given off by lord-ranked beasts is much stronger since it can even kill lower-ranked beasts in an instant. And the only way a beast could learn Intimidate is when they reach the sovereign rank. However, he has already copied Intimidation, so once 11 learns that, it will gain kingly qualities, and perhaps it will learn sovereign rank abilities sooner. With this, they are more determined than ever to enter the unexplored region, and from what Shiryu gathered, they are basically scored based on the type of beast they defeated or the rarity of the resources they found in the wilderness training, so they can leave the fighting to 11, and with the worm's silk, collecting resources will be a breeze. The next day, Dr. Lu visits Shiryu again, to give him his card stacked with money, his ID, and the recommendation letter to the Bamboo Rock Gym. With this ID, he is authorized to explore most ruins, and he can enter the Pingqing ruins with this ID as well. There's also the Ice Dragon ruins on the Snowy Mountain, but she suggests that he should explore that after he is as powerful as a professional, since he won't be able to survive the freezing temperatures even with warm clothes in his current state. Also, he can request for bodyguards when he is exploring the Ice Dragon ruins, but she doesn't think he can have bodyguards for the unexplored region he triggered, because, just like what he told him, this is a special case, so there was nothing that she could do but apologize, to which Shiryu understood, so he asked for more information instead, about the unexplored region, to help him better understand what he is stepping into, and if it's too dangerous, he will have to pass on it. And since Shiryu already knows the unexplored regions are former taming dimensions of tamers that once lived, it was easier for Dr. Lu to explain to him that. It is also the reason why in-turn tamers are the only ones who can enter without any issues, and according to their experiments, if the tamer's rank is too high, their own taming dimension and the unexplored region will repel each other, and even if they can force their way in, doing that can cause dimension to crumble, then it would be a huge loss for them. After all, the ruins themselves are the most precious assets. With this, Shiryu now knows that his assumption was correct, and that they were all just a fucking fodder. If it weren't for that reason, there is no way that the association in Pingqing would allow in-turn tamers to explore the important ruins. While Dr. Lu continues, informing him that the ruins are also challenge-type ruins, the tamer must have modified it in that manner, because the tamer must have wanted to train a new breed of tamers of his tribe. So the tamers that enter the ruins will be transported to different environments and will be isolated from each other, and clones of elemental beings will spawn inside the environments, which the tamers can only move to the next environment by defeating the clones. It's like a challenge with stages. Tamers from the Pingqing Tamer army are already exploring the ruins as they speak, but the results are disappointing. Pingqing's in-turn tamers are too weak. If this goes on, they will have no choice but to allow the other districts or cities to explore the ruins. If their own tamers aren't making any progress, and it would be a great waste of an opportunity for the city. But Shiryu doesn't care about this, because his well-being is his top priority, so he asks her if it is dangerous inside, to which she responds that they will be fine, since the elemental beings mainly aim to defeat their opponents, not kill them, but it will still be dangerous if the tamer is too weak. Speaking of which, this reminds Dr. Lu to share a website's link to him. He can enjoy special deals when he purchases breeding materials here, and if he uses his current resources wisely, he will become a professional tamer in no time. In any case, he can forget about the Ice Dragon ruins for now, and make the unexplored region his current top priority. However, Shiryu is now contemplating about retreating, since it still sounds dangerous. Even the tamers of the army can't make it through, but Dr. Lu can't have none of that, so she tries to convince him by explaining to him that he doesn't have to clear the entire ruins to investigate the truth behind Glacier City's history, since there should be clues inside the individual environment, and his hearing talent should come in handy. After all, he is the one who triggered the ruins to appear. That being said, he should still possess a certain level of strength, so before he goes, she advises him to go to the Bamboo Rock Gym and let his Iron Eater learn 2 new skills, because knowing Harden alone won't be enough, which he understood. Now that was settled, Dr. Lu left, while Shiryu was in deep thought, realizing that it would be best to participate in the practical test organized by the Tamers Association first. That should be a safer option, because if he can pass the test, he should be able to survive the ruins, and if he can't get acceptable results in the test, he can forget about exploring it, since staying alive is more important than anything else. That being said, he can't help himself but feel excited about this. He was even looking forward to enter the ruins directly using his ID. Meanwhile, Dr. Liu is serious about recruiting Shiryu, since he has the talents and a clean background, but he's too weak at the moment, so the upper echelon won't agree to supply him with resources. However, this wasn't a bad thing either, because investigating the truth behind Glacier City's history alone would also be a perfect opportunity to train Shiryu, and she has already spoken with the upper echelon, so Shiryu will be her assistant once he becomes an official member. This is how serious she was in taking Shiryu for herself, as she hopes that Shiryu would pass the professional exam 6 months from now. And now that Dr. Liu has left, Shiryu informs his beast that they will have to work harder from now on. While he can't help but feel impressed by himself, even though he has gotten himself into the line of archaeological work again, he has joined a high-ranking organization within the span of a few months. So, there's no doubt that he is still as outstanding as ever, but he will not use his ID for now, even if it's convenient. It's just like Pandora's box. Using it might spell certain trouble for him, so he puts it away for now. Suddenly, 11 leveled up again, to which Shiryu felt proud, as he noticed that 11 was about 1 meter in height now. So 11 seemed to be twice its size compared to when he met it at the Iron Bamboo breeding base. Still, Shiryu assumed that it was normal. It leveled up after all. With this, Shiryu brought out food to congratulate him, which 11 enjoyed quite so, while Shiryu used his Pokédex to look at their progress. With this, he felt excited as he wondered what grades he could get with these two if he takes the Wilderness Practical Test organized by the Tamers Association. At a later time, Shiryu was now inside the Tamers Association, but to his surprise, countless people were trying to register for a test, but he decided not to be bothered by it, because it just looked like there would be a bunch of tamers without potential who will be disqualified right away, and the tamers with potential will be sent into the ruins to be trained. Through this process, Pingqing will have another batch of intern tamers who can sit for the professional tamer exam. So even if the registration costs 10,000 bucks, it's worth it if he can experience what it's like to be in a professional team. A few moments later, all the participants were informed about their test locations, and that the test will start 3 days from now. Soon after, the day of the test arrives, and a crowd of people gathers at the feet of Tianming Mountain, where the test will commence. But upon Shiryu's arrival, he felt fear coming through his veins, as he thought he was being harassed by impure spirits before the test. Luckily, it was just Chinkai, which made Shiryu even more worried, as he asks what happened to him, and if he ate the supplements like their candies, to which Chinkai clearly did, but he was delighted since Shiryu's training method worked, and because of this, his ice armadillo is now at level 7, but Shiryu wasn't thrilled to hear that he was abusing his health, just to come here with a level 7 beast. His ice armadillo couldn't even take a single blow from 11 in the past, as he wonders what is Chinkai doing here, so he asks Chinkai if he was alone, as he was concerned because he doesn't seem to be in his best condition. But luckily, Chinkai is with his classmates. Even the teacher came to cheer them on, so there was no reason to be worried, as Chinkai tells Shiryu about what happened to the statue they were just looking at before, and how exciting it was, which Shiryu can't help himself but smirk, since he was the reason why the statue exploded. Then, Shiryu advises Chinkai not to wear himself out like this, and to practice restraint, but Chinkai wouldn't listen because he believes that the potential of him and his ice armadillo can still be drawn out, as he assures Shiryu that it will be fine. But hearing that 100 applicants will be assigned to each test location, and only the top 20 participants can enter the ruins, Chinkai is not sure to pass the test. However, Shiryu comforts him, telling him not to worry since he is an outstanding student, and he has a level 7 ice armadillo, so he might just be able to pull it off. With this, Chinkai thinks about how Shiryu's Iron Eater's strength exceeded its growth level, so Chinkai now believes his ice armadillo might just be the same. Speaking of which, Shiryu asks Chinkai if he has ever participated in similar events like this one, to which he responds that the school organized something like this in the past but at a smaller scale, so it's nothing compared to this. Shiryu was asking him this, since this was his first time visiting a dangerous place ever since his transmigration, so he can't stay put, and he is more excited than he expected he would be. Then Shiryu asks if the girls are also here, to which Chinkai tells him that they are not, as he explains that Yu Jingjing wanted to come, but her parents wouldn't let her. As for Yue, her Iron Eater can hardly catch a mouse, let alone fight in the practical test. But before they could even talk further, Chinkai was called by his classmates, so he parted ways with Shiryu, and now that Shiryu was alone, he noticed tamers who are standing in groups with their identical gear, as he wonders if they were hired by the security company, or are they from the tamer army. But since they have assigned standard issue beasts, Shiryu concludes that they must be from the army. which he thinks that joining the tamer army doesn't sound like a bad idea. The lack of freedom aside, the association covers all training costs, and the tamers are also assigned jobs after their training. He would have been among their ranks if only he was willing to undergo the strict training. And as he was daydreaming, the man who was in charge of the place called out for their attention, as he commanded them to shut their ass up, since it was time for everyone to fall in line and sign the safety responsibility sheet. And while they were doing that, he will be briefing them about the practical test. Firstly, he is the person in charge of the practical test on Tianmong Mountain, named Zhou Wanzhan. There are also 4 professional tamers and a team of security guards with him. Everyone will be given a booklet after they have finished signing the sheet. The mountain is full of beasts and rare resources, but there is no need to worry since their identities and corresponding scores are listed in this booklet, and they will gain scores and improve their ranking in this test by hunting beasts and collecting rare resources. Also, everyone will be given equipment that they can use to call for help, and there are safety points scattered across the mountain. The security guards are stationed there, but they will withdraw from the test if they have called for help. And they can hand over their spoils to the security guards at the safety points since they'll be the ones to record their scores. And all they need to do is to score as many points as they can, within 3 days. At the end of the test, the top 20 tamers with the highest scores will be qualified to enter the ruins, while the professor looks down on them, as they wish to be an intern again, since the ruins won't allow high-ranking tamers to enter. Still, they don't intend to let their guards down, since their top priority is to make sure that there aren't any casualties. Meanwhile, Shiryu is reading the handbook that was given to them, and looking upon it closer. A single rat is worth 20 points, which is worth a lot, but they sound like they'll be much more of a pain than the earth rats. Also, he can't believe there is a berserk python in here, which the association doesn't recommend them to hunt this, but they are offering 4,000 points for it, making it more tempting as it is, since this is equivalent to 200 earth rats. However, this is clearly prepared for the tamers who are absolutely confident in their own strengths. But to be honest with himself, the python's berserk skill is interesting, because the beast can get an overall boost in strength and speed after using it, but the beast will also lose all sense of reason. However, this disadvantage should be overcome if the skill mastery is raised to the perfect level, so he was contemplating on taking this skill, and a berserker iron eater sounds tempting, but his attention was quickly diverted upon seeing the information of an electric slime, since this is a special creature that can only be found in other nations. But what surprises him even more is that it has an amplify ability, so if he is not mistaken, amplify is a skill that should allow the beast to shift its size at will. It can shrink or grow bigger. While shrunk, the beast can conserve its stamina and hasten its recovery. And by megamorphing, the beast sacrifices speed for strength, and this seems to be a great skill for 11. So this is a skill he definitely wants to have in his collection, and only slimes would possess skills like this one. So he is determined to hunt down this particular slime. Soon after, the commander informs everyone that the test will begin in 30 minutes, and they have to purchase food and medicine from the nearby store before the test begins, because once they set foot into Tianming Mountain, they won't be able to leave for 3 days unless there are exceptional circumstances. With this, Shiryu went to get what he needed, while he wished that he had a storage item right now, because it's a pain to carry all these items, and he will be collecting spoils as well. But this also reminded him that the Pingqing ruins seem to be a huge spatial item, which can even accommodate living creatures. So in that case, it is not impossible for this world to have something similar. But before he finishes his trains of thought, he was disrupted by Chenkai, which he could only curse at this fucker in his mind. Expectedly, Chenkai approaches him to ask if he wants to form a party with them, in which they are planning to hunt the berserk python, since his ice armadillo can restrict its movements, and one of his classmates who has an electric-type beast can electrocute it. But before Chenkai could explain his plans further, Shiryu asks him if they are even allowed to form parties, and how will the spoils be divided. So Chenkai clarifies to him that the proctor didn't say that it's not allowed, and there should be enough rare resources around the berserk python's lakes for all of them. However, Shiryu has another target in mind, so he refused his proposal and left before Chenkai could convince him further. He did this because he believes that it'll be more efficient moving on his own compared to teaming up with dead weights like them. A few moments later, the commander commenced the start of the test, as he ordered them to enter the mountain from any of the 4 entrances. After that, the professional tamer sent out several mechanical bird to monitor their every move, especially the ones who would challenge the beasts with 4,000 points, since the commander doesn't want to see clueless tamers being unconscious around them. Meanwhile, Shiryu summoned 11, which 11 was energetic as ever, searching for opponents while keeping an eye on their surroundings. But before they have to get to the magnetic zone, where the electric slime was located, they had to make their way through the wild boar's forest first. Therefore, Shiryu decides to hunt some boars as they are walking by. This was a great decision by Shiryu. Even if the spiked boars are tricky to deal with since they're powerful, they are worth more than those rats, so they're perfect as starters. Therefore, their eyes glimmer upon seeing the first boar they encounter. Soon after, the boar charges at them, while it has already made up its mind regarding the parts of their bodies it would feast on first. With this, Shiryu tells 11 to be careful of its tusks, since it will petrify anyone that it hits. However, it mainly attacks by tackling. Hence, 11 confidently approaches it, as he activates Super Sight to dodge the boar's tackle at a hair's breadth. With this, 11 was at the boar's weak spot where the boar has no other way to counter, so without hesitations, 11 smashed it to a tree, and before the boar could even recover, 11 have already followed up his attack, completely knocking the boar out with a headbutt. With this, they gain 350 points surprisingly easy, as Shiryu confirms with his own eyes that 11 is on a whole other level in terms of combat strength, and even if Jinkai and his ice armadillo could also defeat the boar, he reckons that they would take more time. Now that the boar was all tied up, Shiryu happily gave the rope to 11 to drag their spoils along as they pressed forward, which 11 delightedly received since this is his favorite part, the strength training, while 11 admires how wonderful of an idea it was, using the wild boar he defeated as a piece of training equipment, as expected of his tamer. At the same time, the guard was surprised to see that someone had already scored the first points in the boar forest, which an in-turn tamer took out a spiked boar at the entrance. But what surprised them even more is the identity of the Iron Eater. Judging by the size, that Iron Eater should just be a cub, and it's not even a level 7, so it made them wonder how did it defeat the boar that easily. So they decide to look at the footage at a later time, as they keep an eye on Shiryu, since he is venturing into the boar's forest alone. Meanwhile, Shiryu managed to find a group of boars, in which he was wondering if 11 can take on 4 boars at once. Therefore, he asked 11 if he would like to give it a try. Since his hardened is at the proficient level, he can now fight while he is completely hardened. So Shiryu believes that they shouldn't be a threat to 11, and as expected, 11 accepts it without question, because 4 against 1 sounds exciting to him. With this, 11 approached the boars, while Shiryu and the worm cheered for him at the back. At the same time, the guards were in shock at how bold they were, as they couldn't believe a tamer with the little Iron Eater let its beast charge at 4 spiked boars, so they assumed that Shiryu's last victory got to him, because even a level 10 beast will be hard-pressed to face 4 spiked boars alone. But what surprised them even more is that the cub they see on the screen quickly taunts the 4 boars without any signs of hesitation, which enrages all of the boars in front of him. And because they can't just let this slide easily, they all charge at the same time. But little did they know, they are about to get the beating of their life, as 11 activate his proficient level harden, whole body coverage, which he hooped their asses without restraint. With this, the remaining boar knew he wasn't supposed to be messed with, so they ran with their tails tucked between their legs. Meanwhile, the guards who saw this couldn't believe what they had witnessed. Even the guard, who was a former intern at the Bamboo Rock Gym, was in shock to see the cub already had a proficient level harden. With this, he wondered if Shiryu also came from the Bamboo Rock Gym. And to add more to their surprises, Shiryu has another beast with him, which was impossible for an intern tamer to have, so they conclude that maybe he's keeping it without a contract. With this, they realize that this kid was something else, and the green cotton worm seemed to be of a high level as well, so they were more than sure that he'd be one of the top 3. But before they could be amazed at Shiryu even further, their colleague tells them to stop since someone just got injured. At the same time, Shiryu was delighted, because now they have 1750 points, as he wondered if the boars were edible. But speaking about food just made 11 hungry. Therefore, they stop to take some rest and satiate their hunger. Now that 11 is chomping down at his food like crazy, Shiryu has the time to check the map, and it looks like they will be reaching a safe zone after exiting this forest. Then, they should be getting close to the magnetic mountain zone, where the electric slimes can be found. Unexpectedly, a loud cry of help can be heard beyond the forest, so without hesitations, they immediately run towards the voice, even if they know there are more boars up ahead. And just as they expected, 10 boars are charging at 2 intern tamers, but Shiryu wasn't fazed by this for one bit, as he was just there, standing menacingly, while wondering about the odds of his beast winning this battle. And now that the intern tamers got a closer look at him, they couldn't believe the number of unconscious boars they were dragging. At the same time, it manages to scare the boars immensely. Now they realize they are not supposed to be messed with, therefore they run away, which confuses them. So after the intern tamers felt they were safe, they recognize Shiryu. With this, they know that it hasn't been that long since he got here. Therefore they ask about that bundle of spiked boars behind him, and how he managed to get them, to which Shiryu just advises them to try the outskirts of the forest instead of the central area, if they are aiming for isolated boars, which they were thankful for. With that, they parted ways, as Shiryu decided to go to the safety zone first, or they would be tied down by their spoils otherwise. But now he wasn't concerned about the boars approaching him, since the boars have their survival instinct, and he knows that they were afraid of him, so they wouldn't get close to him. With this, he arrived at the safety zone without any trouble, and upon entering the gates, Shiryu surprised all of them with the 5 boars on his back. They couldn't believe it, since a single spiked boar had already managed to injure them like this, so they know Shiryu and his beast are powerful. Even the guy who is lying on the bed reckons that he would be healed faster if he can just touch that Iron Eater, as they wished if only his Iron Eater has a healing skill. But surprisingly, with just the warmth of 11's greetings, made them feel a little better, while Shiryu couldn't help but pity them, as he saw the sorry state they were in, and they'd gotten themselves beaten up quite badly just by passing through the forest, so he couldn't imagine what would happen to them if they tried to hunt a level 10 beast boss. And as he was in deep thought, a guard suddenly approached them, while stating that they had been keeping an eye on him for a while now, since he had a powerful Iron Eater. With this, he volunteered to help Shiryu in registering his score, to which Shiryu was thankful for, while he asks if he can eat these boars, because he is thinking of roasting them, to which the guard advised him against it. Even though spiked boar meats are tasty, it's a pain to process them before they're edible. This disappoints Shiryu, because he thought he could finally eat something other than instant noodles. Soon after, his score was put on the leaderboard, which he was in first place, with a new top scorer, and it had only been a few hours since the start of the test. The professional tamers were excitedly looking forward to these in-turn tamers. Meanwhile, Yin-Chi, the guard who volunteered to help Shiryu with his score, was amazed by what Shiryu managed to do, because even if he had been working at the Bamboo Rock Gym for a long time, he had never seen an Iron Eater cub with a proficient level hardened before. Even his Iron Eater of the Transcendent rank, who he has been raising for about 6 years already, has just recently reached the proficient level of harden. With how amazing Shiryu was, after he finished his duty, he called someone he knew from his early years. That someone was none other than Master Lin, which Master Lin didn't forget about Yin-Chi, since he is the one who failed the professional examination 2 years in a row and went to work in a security company, which Yin-Chi sincerely apologized to have humiliated the Bamboo Rock Gym. But this wasn't the reason why he called him, so he cut to the chase, and tells Master Lin about the interesting tamer he just met. His Iron Eater seems to be about 2 years old, but it has a proficient level harden, so he assumes that he is a new disciple of Master Lin. But this only made Master Lin doubt his words, thinking that Yin-Chi is just trying to pull his leg, since that doesn't sound possible at all. And all of the Iron Eaters in Glacier City comes from the Iron Bamboo breeding base, so if there was an Iron Eater with such talents, he would have known about it. But before he accused him of lying, he asks the name of this interesting tamer that Yin-Chi just met, and to his surprise, it was Shiryu, the one who Dr. Liu recommended, as he remembers when Shiryu came for his Iron Eater. It was only 1 year old, and it hasn't even been a month since he had the Iron Eater, but now it has a proficient level harden already, so he wonders if Dr. Liu helped him raise the beast with a special technique. With this realization, he tells Yin-Chi that Shiryu is not a disciple yet, but he might become one, since his Iron Eater's harden is at the proficient level. So he asks Yin-Chi to guide Shiryu towards the magnetic zone, since it will be Shiryu's main training ground for now. Master Lin decided this, because it would prepare Shiryu's Iron Eater for the gym skills it would be learning in the future. But this only made Yin-Chi cry, because unlike him, Shiryu is going to be taught a gym skill even before he joins the gym. Still, he decided to follow Master Lin's plan, so he went to Shiryu and told him that he should check out the magnetic zone, since he could find electric ore there. It's a first-grade energy ore, and it's an ingredient in some Iron Eater diets, which made Shiryu think, since that's one of the recommended food items in the breeding manual, but it's not one of the most recommended ones. But before he could even respond, Yin-Chi was already a few inches away from his face, while asking Shiryu to come with him, which Shiryu was already suspicious of him. Still, he came along. With this, Yin-Chi has the time to explain why he decided to help him, and that he is a disciple of the Bamboo Rock Gym. Speaking of which, he asks Shiryu if he knows what the 2 ultimate moves of the Bamboo Rock Gym were, to which he responds that it's called Lightning Palm and Cannon Punch. This can only be possible with the right raising method, so that Iron Eaters could master fire and electric type skills. For example, if he wants his Iron Eater to learn an electric type skill, he has to let it consume electrical metallic ores, like the electric ore. But this didn't convince Shiryu, since he is a breeding major, so he knows that, While it's true that he needs to raise his pet beast right if he wants it to learn other skills, and their diet plays an important part in this, but consuming electric rock alone won't be enough. If that's the case, the skill wouldn't be called the Bamboo Rock Gym's unique skill. And even though it's not as troublesome as making a green cotton worm evolve into the Morphohelena butterfly, a single food item won't be enough. So he asks Yan-Chi why he is telling him this, to which he explains that he heard from Master Lin that he might be studying under him at the gym in the future, so he thought of giving him some tips. And the lowest requirement for an Iron Eater to be able to consume electric ore is for it to master Harden to the experienced level. But his Iron Eater's Harden is already at the proficient level, so it won't have a problem absorbing the nutrients from the electric ore. And if he plans on joining the Bamboo Rock Gym, the magnetic zone of Tianming Mountain is the best training ground for him, since he can find electric ore there and there are many electric-type beasts. And eating electric ore and letting itself be hit by electric-type attacks are part of the basic training to master electric palm. It's a good idea to try doing them there. As Yan-Chi wished if only his Iron Eater could master the electric palm, he would have passed the professional examination ages ago, because the electric palm alone is powerful enough, but combined with Harden is beyond comprehension. While Shiryu is in deep thought, thinking about how a Bamboo Rock Gym disciple knows who he is, even before he has gone to the gym himself, so he concludes that this must be Master Lin's first lesson for him. And since he was planning to copy the Amplify skill at the magnetic zone, there are more reasons for him to go there now. With this, he summons 11 and tells him that they're going to get him something delicious to eat, which makes him drool thinking it was something special. So they go out in high spirit, while making others feel demoralized, as they can't believe they are hunting again, while they are just sitting idle in one place because they were injured by one boar. A few moments later, they arrived at the entrance of the magnetic zone, and as expected, just like what the map said, the magnetic field here affects Shiryu. However, he can't back down now, because he must get his hands on the electric ore and the slimes. With this determination, Shiryu and his beasts manage to traverse the magnetic field without resting. And to their surprise, they have come across an electric ore. So without hesitations, Shiryu asks 11 to use Harden on his entire body, to taste it. With this, 11 felt betrayed as he realized this is the delicious treat his tamer said to him, but to his knowledge it is a fucking rock, and to make matters worse, it's also electrified, so there is no way he was eating that, as he asks his tamer if he is trying to pull a prank on him, because his training will be affected if he gets an upset stomach from this. Seeing that 11 was discontented by this, Shiryu tries to convince him by explaining to him that an Iron Eater must master Harden at the experienced level before it can consume level 1 ores, but his Harden is already at the proficient level, so there is nothing to worry about. With this, 11 tried to take the ore, but since he didn't activate his Harden, he was immediately electrocuted, but still, he managed to take a chunk out of it. So upon looking at it closely, 11 thought that it might ruin his teeth, so he asks his tamer to try it out first, but clearly he couldn't, so he just reminds 11 that he can eat it without worries, since his quick heal is at the experienced level now, so he can heal himself even if he burned his insides. Seeing that his tamer is adamant on feeding him this electric ore, 11 decides to eat it as fast as he could, and as soon as he is able to swallow it whole, he feels ecstatic to know that it is edible. With this, he excitedly asks if there's more of that good rock. Now that it looks like there are no issues, they search for more of those good rocks for 11 to eat. Shiryu was not concerned about 11 being overdosed with this rock, since, according to the Bamboo Rock Gym's disciple, Iron Eaters will gain a certain affinity for electricity after consuming huge amounts of electric ores, and they will accumulate a certain degree of electric-type talents. And the Iron Eater can also expedite its development of electric-type talents by getting struck by lightning during this process. Those are the basic conditions for mastering electric-type skills. But it's a shame that there are only electric ores here, because if Shiryu can get his hands on fire rocks or ice rocks, he might even be able to develop a new type of Iron Eater. Still, he decided not to be bothered by this too much, as he focused on the electric type for now. And if 11 can master Harden to the flawless level and pair it with electric type skills, the unconventional electric cannon will be born, which is a combination of destructive long-range skills of different types. And just by thinking of it, he felt an excitement he never felt before. Afterwards, 11 is now stronger than ever. Still, it isn't enough, so they decide to continue their search for more rocks to eat. Unfortunately, electric scorpions are present on the next rock they are after, and they are absorbing the leaked electricity from the electric ores, so it seems like they have some rivals in their quest for electric ores. However, these scorpions does not scare them. Therefore, Shiryu orders 11 to beat them up and take the ores for themselves. And just like that, 11 grabs the tails of the two scorpions to spin them around like they were nothing. At the same time, The guards were in shock to see they've invaded the territories of the electric-type beasts that easily, as they couldn't help but see these two as an evil overlord. And to add to their surprises, these two don't plan on earning scores for collecting resources, since they are clearly uninterested in items with low scores. So, the guards concluded that these two must be after the level 10 beasts. With this realization, it's no wonder that these two were able to hunt 5 spiked boars, and from the performance of this Iron Eater, dealing with a level 10 beast should be a piece of cake for it. And the only level 10 beast in the magnetic zone is the 3 electric slime they transported some time ago. Hence, they were more than sure what Shiryu's next target was. Unexpectedly, the commander was eavesdropping on their conversation, so he joined their conversations, only to disagree with them, stating that these two might not be able to handle the slimes, but even if they can't, they shouldn't have a problem escaping, since slimes are slow. Anyone who can pass the physical education examination in high school can outrun slimes. However, they would still have to pay a price even if they defeated the electric slimes, because electric slimes can use the skill Electrocute, which is known for its penetrative strength and sheer impact. Also, the Iron Eater is 4 levels lower than the slimes, so even with its proficient level Harden, it might not be able to remain unscathed. With that, their conversations were over, so the commander told them to continue their job properly, and if Shiryu engaged with the slimes head-on, they had to dispatch the medics immediately. Surprisingly, not a moment passed. Shiryu already found the electric slimes. They found it easily since they are following the smell of the electric ores, but as soon as they saw the slime, it went for an attack without thinking twice. Luckily, they were fast enough to dodge it, but they weren't intimidated by this electric bitch, as they calmly prepared in front of its face, putting on non-conductive gloves, so that 11 could grab the slime and squeeze it dry of its juice. Shiryu was this confident, because he believes that this is just like fighting a boss in a game, so they can surely defeat it if they give it their all. And now that 11 has equipped his gear, he didn't hesitate to charge at it, but as soon as he got closer, he realized that this slime was more powerful than he expected, so eating it was out of the options. Still, he tries to squeeze it dry like there is no tomorrow, making the slime release its juice all over the place, while the professional tamer was amazed by Shiryu, since he is the first tamer who's smart enough to make his pet wear gloves. The other tamers wore the gloves themselves. This was a smart move by Shiryu, since the strength of electric slimes only lies in their ability to release electricity and their tough defense, and that's about it. So it's the best choice to wear non-conductive gloves while dealing with them. With this, they are more than sure that Shiryu will earn 1,200 points. However, the commander disagrees because things aren't as simple as they seem, as he advises them not to look down on the slime. And just like what the commander just said, this slime was level 10 for a reason, as it uses its skill to erect itself. However, Shiryu expected this to happen, so he didn't panic to see it grow, as he calmly commands 11 to use his Harden, full body coverage. With this, they repelled each other, knocking themselves on the opposite directions, while the tamers assume that the tides have now turned, since they believe that the electric slime might be worn out, but the Iron Eater must have suffered some damage as well, and both of them might even end up unconscious. But little did they know, 11 has a cheat, as he uses his quick heal to recover his stamina instantly, and just like that, he was ready for round 2, which surprises the slime and the professional tamers at the same time, as they wonder if the proficient level Hardened is that powerful, because this Iron Eater defended himself from that mighty electric shock without trouble. This even led them to think, if this Iron Eater withstand the electric shock through sheer willpower to strike back, or it got used to electricity after eating all those electric ores, which was a more logical assumption. And just like that, the slime pumped out the last of its juice, so it falls asleep and reverted back to its original size. With this, 11 was delighted of the outcome, as Shiryu praised him for a job well done, and now that he got closer to the slime, Shiryu didn't hesitate to touch it, and just like that, he successfully recorded the almighty Amplify skill, while the professional tamers was flabbergasted, seeing Shiryu toy with the level 10 beast they just defeated. Now they realized that this pair is terrifying. Meanwhile, Shiryu noticed that there were plenty of electric ores on the roof of the cave, which delighted him quite so, since 11 would be able to fill its belly, and they could even pack the rest, so they could feed the slime 2 chunks of electric ores every day, but it has to release the same amount of electricity that it has consumed. With this, the electric slime will be their electricity generator, in order to hone 11's resistance toward electrical attacks by being electrocuted, and also improve its affinity with electricity. This was a perfect plan, since 11 now has electrical talents. Also, with its experienced level quick heal, it can swiftly recover from any damage caused by electrical shocks. With this combination, 11 can train to its heart's content, while the slime couldn't help but feel despair, as it realized that he was captured by these psychopaths. However, Shiryu and 11 couldn't care about what it thinks, so they ignored it, as they just decided to rest inside the cave tonight, so that they could try out their new training regime after dinner, which 11 was excited for, as he was delighted to have the best tamer in the world, while the guards on the other hand couldn't help themselves but feel shocked as they couldn't comprehend what just happened. Even Yanqi, who advised Shiryu to do this, was flabbergasted since he didn't expect Shiryu to capture an electric slime and use it as a tool. Now he realized how telepathy is one crazy talent. The next day, Shiryu and 11 happily started their day by capturing all 3 electric slimes. This was only possible because of the non-conductive gloves coupled with 11's skills, and Shiryu could keep them in their electric dose state as long as he didn't feed them too much food, so they're powerless to fight back, making them the perfect training tools for 11. And to their surprise, as 11 was clamping his palm, he manages to make an electricity for himself. Even Shiryu couldn't believe it, as he was still processing. If 11 really managed to learn electric palm by himself, and upon looking at it closer, there was no doubt it was an electricity. So Shiryu decided to pause 11's training for now, since he needs to ask Yanqi about this first. Therefore they went to Yanqi as fast as they could, and showed 11's new skill to him, which shocked Yanqi to his core, as he asked loudly, how is this possible? It had only been 1 day, so it's impossible for Shiryu's Iron Eater to learn that skill so soon. And based on his knowledge, he can't really awaken electrical talents just by consuming electric ores and being electrocuted, or the bamboo rock gym would have been overflowing with Iron Eaters who can use lightning palm otherwise. So other steps are usually needed to complement the ones he told them about, but Shiryu manages to achieve the same results with simple materials in a single day at that. So Yanqi couldn't help but ask Shiryu on what makes his Iron Eater so special, to which Shiryu responded that maybe they are just hardworking, which Yanqi couldn't deny, since all they were seen doing was battling, training, and eating. However, he still can't believe this. And just with Yanqi's reaction, Shiryu confirms it. 11 truly managed to learn electric palm by himself, and while it's indeed unbelievable, this might have something to do with quick heal. Perhaps there was some unknown reaction between the two which shortened the time needed for 11 to learn the skill. So it seems that there are certain relationships between different skills, and it might be easier to master a certain skill before learning the next skill. Take electric palm, for example. 11 basically releases electricity from its palms, which means that it can now use electricity, and he can add electric palm into the handbook now, which he was grateful to 11, since he thought he had to copy lightning palm from the gym. Then, Yanqi tells Shiryu that it is really the electric palm, but it's not powerful enough yet and is at the beginner level at most, but he tells them not to worry, because when the Iron Eater's palm can withstand high voltage electricity, and amass enough electrical power to stun and pierce the target's body, that will be when the lightning palm is truly powerful, which makes Shiryu delighted. So after that was settled, Shiryu took out the spoils he got from the magnetic field, in order to record it to his scores. But before that, Yanqi asks Shiryu if they are going back to the magnetic zone after this, to which Shiryu responds that they won't, since there aren't many electric ores left there, surprising Yanqi again. But what surprised him even more is that Shiryu won't exchange the ores for points, even if the total score for all those electric ores might be higher than the 3 slimes combined. After that was done, Yanqi sat down and called Master Lin again to report to him about what happened, which also surprised Master Lin, as he couldn't help himself but curse at how ridiculous it was. A few moments later, Shiryu and 11 are running through the woods again, trying to find something nutritional for the green cotton worm to eat, since it hadn't eaten a proper meal in 2 days, especially when it gave them quite a bit of help. Hence, it's time for it to be rewarded. But now that they were planning to feed the cotton worm, Shiryu was thinking thoroughly about how he would raise his green cotton worm. Usually, tamers will only start preparing evolution materials when their green cotton worm is at level 9 or 10, and when they form a cocoon, since it's meaningless to give them rare materials when they are at their other life stages. After all, green cotton worms need the nourishment from their cocoons to learn a new skill. Besides that, silk is the only skill worth upgrading. And while 11 will mainly engage in combat, since Shiryu raised it according to the standard method of raising combat pets, and all he wants is for it to have good fighting skills, he doesn't want his green cotton worm to be the same, and he can easily teach it a unique combination of skills with the handbook. So Shiryu believes that it's better for it to evolve into something rarer and more practical. With this, Shiryu was contemplating if he should let it evolve into a support-type butterfly, like the Morphohelena butterfly. For example, it can control light and can cast illusions. It's a great candidate for a tamer's bodyguard as its skills are versatile. Or perhaps he should make it evolve into the Ice Phoenix butterfly, because according to Dr. Liu, that will be a first occurrence in this nation. With that, it will become a sovereign rank beast. Also, if its affinity allows, he can give it some rare attributes as well. like he can teach it some space or time-related skills. Shiryu was considering this, because even if he is good enough at escaping himself, if somehow one of his beasts can learn the skill of teleportation, he won't have to be afraid of any situation. Besides, the rare types might give his beasts a boost as well. But since there are too many possible evolution pathways, Shiryu is getting confused just by thinking about it. So he decides to change his train of thought and just think about the most important things, which are the skills and materials. However, it's not easy to get his hands on rare skills and materials, just like the evolution materials for the Ice Phoenix butterfly. He doesn't know where to get them. Now he realizes that he has no choice but to rely on Department 11's resources, so he decides not to be bothered by it, since it's too early to think about these things, and just see what materials he can get when the time comes. With this, he focuses on upgrading green cotton worm silk to the highest level instead. To do that, he was searching for a material called Dragon Whisker, a level 1 spiritual plant. It's named for its resemblance to the whiskers of the eastern dragons. It's the favorite food for beasts with skills like silk. It can improve the durability and sharpness of silk. However, a beast was already on their tail, so as soon as they found what they were searching for and let their guard down, the level 10 fiendish wolf spider leaps for a surprise attack, which it managed to capture 11 without any problem. But little did it know, 11 was strong enough to get out from its bind. With this, 11 got an opportunity to test his electric palms, so he did just that. However, it's just as Yanchi said, the electric palm was not powerful enough. Therefore, Shiryu decides to change his plans, as he tells 11 to grab the spider and toss it into the air, which confuses 11. But still, he trusts his tamer, so he approaches the spider with the plan in mind. So as soon as the spider launches its attack, 11 dodges it with ease, in order to grab its web and do what he was told. Now that the spider was in the air, Shiryu told 11 what to do. So without hesitations, he used his full body harden, with his electric palm, to spin around and launch himself toward the spider. With this combination, a new skill was born, so they defeat the wolf spider just like that. While it was expected, Shiryu was still surprised by this outcome, since he expected the spider beasts to be more powerful. So it seems like 11's current combat strength is higher than untrained wild level 10 beast. However, Shiryu was bothered by how they were caught by a surprise that easily, so he was thinking that it would be great if he could copy a skill that warns the user of any incoming danger. Meanwhile, Shiryu was in first place by a large margin, which was to be expected, since he managed to defeat 4 level 10 beasts, 5 spiked boars, and a bunch of resources, earning him a total of 20,000 points. Even the commander was amazed, because Shiryu might have relied on his wits when he hunted the slimes, but his fight against the fiendish wolf spider proved his real strength. So while the average level of the tamers here is quite low, and none of the tamers have level 10 beasts, Shiryu was enough to give them hope, since level 10 beasts are the most powerful creatures on Tianming Mountain. But Shiryu defeated 4 level 10 beasts with his level 6 Iron Eater, which is an amazing feat. So Shiryu deserves to be at the first place, and it's rare to find tamers who are able to defeat beasts of a higher level than that of their own pets, as they wonder how Shiryu will fare in the ruins. And with just that, the 3-day wilderness training has ended, so they advise the tamers to exit the mountain under the guidance of the security personnel, which the other tamers were delighted as they happily left the place, since all they experienced inside was like hell on earth. While Shiryu was calmly contemplating to spend some of that 10 million on himself as a reward, since he has worked hard in this training, so he decided to buy some high-grade supplements with the money after this. Soon after, the intern tamers gathered near the exit, which surprised them that there were only 73 of them left, since they started the test with 100 participants. With this, they assumed that the others must have quit halfway through the training. Perhaps they couldn't stand the environment, or they had to pull out of the test because of their injuries. Suddenly, the commander congratulated them, as they were still standing there, which meant they had some talent inside them, since Tianming Mountain is just a training environment made by men. So if they can't even withstand this test, they can forget about exploring the ruins, let alone sitting for the professional examination. And if that is the case, they should just pack their things and play with their pets back home. Then, he points towards the scoreboard if they want to know their individual scores, in which the top 20 will have the right to explore the ruins, and seeing that it's their first experience, they will take them into the ruins 1 week from now. And so, this marks the end of the test, and they are free to leave once they have redeemed their points. But upon looking at the scoreboard closer, they were surprised someone managed to earn 20,000 points. With this, they wondered who the hell is Shiryu, as they hadn't heard that name in their respective school, while Shiryu, on the other hand, noticed the people are getting riled up by his score, so he was about to dip out in silence, before someone figured out that he was the one in the number 1 spot. However, Things didn't go the way he planned it, because Chinkai called out to him, so without a choice, he immediately runs as fast as he could, leaving Chinkai to deal with the mobs that wants to know his secret. While Chinkai was still processing this, as he wonders how on earth Shiryu manages to defeat 5 level 10 awakened beasts, and why did the difference between their strengths grow larger even after he has worked hard for 1 week. But he couldn't find the answer to these questions now, since the mob of intern tamers were passionately asking him about Shiryu. Therefore, he answers them instead, stating that Shiryu is an amazing guy. He came from a popular school in the city, so he himself listened to Shiryu's advice, and bought clearing pills for his beast's training, which explains how his ice armadillo achieved another breakthrough. With this, they were more eager than ever to buy these clearing pills. Meanwhile, Shiryu was about to redeem his points. Coincidentally, Yen-Chi was the one who was assigned there, so Yen-Chi got the opportunity to tell Shiryu that he told Master Lin about his Iron Eater's mastery of electric palm, and he wants him to head over to the gym when he is free, since there are special supplements and food items there. And Master Lin is also planning on teaching him more about electric palm, which delighted Shiryu, so he leaves the place in high spirit, while Yen-Chi was picturing the look of disbelief on Master Lin's face, as he was doubting Master Lin can teach this kid at all. And now that Shiryu was walking alone, he was in deep thought, thinking about Gym Leader Lin, who is a father to Shouju, wondering if Master Lin has any other skills besides electric palm, since he would like to copy them if he can. And Master Lin is one of the greatest tamers in Pingcheng, so he assumes that Master Lin should have some secret tomes. Also, he can finally return to civilization, so he looks forward to enjoy the things he couldn't do inside the wilderness, as he has been away from these things for too long, and he believes that men are not born to live in the wilderness. So after he became rich, he plans to enter into a contract with a mechanical life form, and try to be a machinist for once. He was thinking about this, because he wants a robot that's like a transformer. He wants it to be able to fight like a Gundam, transform into a plane or car to transport people, and transform into a house. With a machine like that, he can live a civilized life even when he is out in the wilderness. A few moments later, he came back from his house, and now he is lying on his bed, thinking about the Taming Association, since they will be taking them to the ruins 1 week from now, which he realized that he doesn't have much time. With this, two sides of him collides, as the cautious side of him tries to convince him to go, after he raised his beast's levels even further, while the reckless side of him pushes him to go now. So after thinking it through, he convinced himself to go, because even Dr. Liu said that the ruins are safe, since it's a trial-type ruins after all, and he is just going to take a look, so he believes that there won't be an issue. In any case, he should splurge his money for now, even when he knows that the 10 million he got can last for quite some time if he avoids buying evolution materials for the green cotton worm, and it would be the best if he explores the evolution options of the green cotton worm himself first, for the sake of his family. And who knows, he may find suitable evolution materials inside the ruins, as he decides to think of all this as an investment. With this mindset, he opens the website that Dr. Liu introduced to him. Surprisingly, he instantly liked what he saw, since these supplements must be designed with combat-type tamers in mind. And not only that, they're all organically sourced, and they're clearly different from clearing capsules, which are manufactured using low-grade ingredients. Expectedly, the price matches its quality, so it's a good thing that Shiryu has the money. And upon looking at it closely, he got to know the ingredients of this mysterious bean, such as the tendrils of ginseng infant, a transcendent plant, a royal jelly of the queen floral bee, a frog fat from the swallowing dragon frog, an elemental dragon, and this was produced using the ingredients that were collected strictly from the divine tree's unexplored region, in order for this bean to be used to restore a tamer's stamina and vigor swiftly, even during conditions of extreme exhaustion. However, Shiryu couldn't help himself but feel that these supplements seemed strange and extremely familiar at the same time. In any case, he likes this wonder bean, so even if the price is 100,000 apiece for the lowest grade bean, he was willing to purchase one to test its effects. Who knows, he might be able to teach high-level skills with it. So now he comes up with a schedule to teach his beast in the most efficient way possible. With this, he has spent more than $1 million already, and that's 1/10 of his initial funds, even though these were the cheapest supplements available on the web. But with the help of these supplements, he can teach 11 all the high-level skills and raise the mastery levels of its skills to the max. So everything will be worth it in the end. And with that, he went to sleep after a long day. Unexpectedly, 11 woke up Shiryu like he was an anime girl. 11 did this because Shiryu has been sleeping for one whole day, so they didn't get any food to eat. And seeing that 11 was angrily starving, Shiryu stood up and get his beast something to eat, as he looks forward to teach the green cotton worm silk today, since he couldn't let his replenished stamina go to waste. And with just that, the next day arrived. Now Shiryu was in high spirit as he was ready to take 11 to the Bamboo Rock Gym, and perhaps he could get himself some iron bamboo as well, because 11's appetite has been growing lately. Unexpectedly, someone informed him that they're delivering the supplements he ordered 2 days ago, and not a moment passed. The delivery man arrives with the package, which surprises Shiryu, since he didn't expect to witness a transcendent beast used as a means of transportation during a delivery. So he asked the delivery man if he was a professional tamer, to which he responded that he was, but he was new to the profession, so he politely asked to go easy on him. With this, Shiryu now know that this world has high requirements, even for a job as a courier, which also means that the pay is good. After all, the goods sold on the website are all high-end, while the courier was wondering why this in-turn tamer purchased that many high-grade supplements, since he shouldn't have any need for them at his rank, but because it wasn't his job to pry further, he minded his own business, and went on his way. Now that Shiryu was alone, he took out the senza bean that he ordered and called out 11 to reteach some skills to him, while he put aside the intimidate skill, an absolute slumber to leave them for next time, since Amplify seemed more interesting right now, and he has many high-grade supplements and only 3 high-ranked skills, so he is more than sure that he will be able to teach them all soon enough. And the reason why he picked the Amplify skills first is because 11's combat strength will be raised under his enlarged state, while in his shrunken state, he can recover faster, and it won't hurt to teach it this skill first. With this in mind, Shiryu teaches the Amplify skill without any worries, while 11 is still bothered by this, since he believes that he didn't deserve it without hard work, and he has learned Electric Palm, and his tamer is already trying to taint his soul with a cheat, but still, he just lets it be, as he decides to make up for it by working hard later instead. After that, Shiryu was shocked to see the cooldown time of the skills, since he thought that 72 hours was the maximum cooldown period. But this wasn't a bad thing either, since he had the senza bean he had just purchased, so after he ate it, his cooldown was lessened to 48 hours instead. Still, he felt drained, so it looks like teaching high-grade skills is his current teaching limit. Even with amazing supplements, he can't teach high-grade skills before improving his stamina significantly. Meanwhile, 11 was undergoing some change, and to Shiryu's surprise, 11 managed to master it already. So to test this new ability out, Shiryu asked 11 to grow bigger, which 11 did without any hesitations. Now he became significantly bigger than before, as 11 felt powerful with his new size. He was even confident that he can send those spiked boars flying with a single strike. However, this form may use a lot of energy, therefore they have no choice but to shrink for now. With this, Shiryu realized that enlarging 11's body to twice its size and shrinking to half his normal size are the limits of the beginner-level Amplify, which disappoints him since it's not what he expected, and it seems like he will have to raise 11's mastery of this skill to see a significant change. However, he decides not to be bothered by this, since 11 has only just learned the skill, so this will do for now, and this skill can now be used to his advantage, as he advises 11 to eat his meals in this state, so they could save a lot on food. A few moments later, Shiryu was now inside his house, exploring the things he had just bought, since he was surprised that one Wonder Bean has already reduced the cooldown period by 120 hours, so he was now wondering if he took another one, would his condition be restored, or will he perhaps end up much more invigorated than before? And even if the manual did mention that the Wonder Beans can be taken until his condition is perfectly restored, he wasn't sure if it was the right choice to take more than one in a day. But since these are Wonder Beans of the lowest grade, he assumes that there won't be any side effects if he overdosed on them. Still, he wasn't willing to take it for now, because a single Wonder Bean can make up for more than 48 hours, so it's a waste for him to take another one now, and the manual didn't say anything about consuming the beans after cutting them in half, so he might lose as much as tens of thousands if he does that. He was really thinking this through, and because a single Wonder Bean costs 100,000 bucks, while a tendril of the ginseng infant costs 50,000 bucks, he was now contemplating switching to another supplement, but there's no guarantee even if he switches to the ginseng infant, making him hesitate, so he looks for another alternative. With this, he noticed the royal jelly that he bought, also known as Queen Bee Jelly or Empress Bee Jelly, and since it wasn't that expensive, because it's nothing but a byproduct from a sovereign rank beast, which the bee grows by consuming nectar from different kinds of flowers. Also, it was considered a supplement in his past life, but it has more nourishing properties in this world, so he easily decided to try it. And to his surprise, it was worth every penny, and even if the effect of this is like the clearance pills purchased from the pharmacy, taking this would be better, since he wouldn't have to deal with pills that forcibly restores his spirits through chemical means, which was great. And the Wonder Beans, on the other hand, greatly reduced the cooldown time, so he is now more than happy to be rich. Also, he can stop visiting that pharmacy from now on, so that he can spare himself the strange stares of the staff. And 11 and the green cotton worm might not be able to enjoy much of the 10 million initial fund, since it is more efficient to use the money on supplements instead. And sure, you might be the only tamer capable of putting these supplements to such good use, as he can now proceed to reset the cooldown period of the skills and then plan the next skill teaching session. But before that, he noticed another item in the box, which he didn't remember purchasing. And to his surprise, it came from a secret fan of him, giving him a tailor-made battle uniform, which delighted him quite so. Meanwhile, at the Iron Bamboo breeding base, Master Lin was wondering when will Shiryu come to visit his gym, since the wilderness training was over 2 days ago, and from what Yin Chi said, Shiryu might be more talented than the disciples of this gym. However, he was disheartened since he thought that he had finally found a disciple whom he could teach at full force, but his pet learned electric palm in a single day, so now he wasn't sure if he could teach Shiryu anything that might be useful. However, his train of thought was disrupted by his daughter calling out to him, asking him to eat out today and go to the Dragon Palace in the fishing village, but he wasn't interested in that, so he asks his daughter if she was done with her daily training instead, to which she was hesitant to respond, while his father couldn't help but feel regretful, because after his daughter passed the professional tamer examination at the age of 18, she decided to pursue a specialization in breeding and chose to research the evolution of iron eaters, in which he gave her his permission. In the end, she grew weaker and didn't obtain much results with regard to the evolution pathways. With this, he tries to be strict as possible, asking her to complete her training first before they can eat out. Unfortunately for him, she isn't the one who wants to eat fish, but it's his wife, so delaying wasn't an option. But before they could do that, one of his disciples informed him about a tamer named Shiryu who was at the entrance, which delighted Master Lin quite so. Hit that like button and thanks for watching. Therefore, Shiryu decided to use the money he received as a reward to himself. With this, he bought a ton of supplements that could help him and his pets to increase their efficiency, such as a senza bean that could lessen his cooldown time of skills and a natural honey that replenishes his energy after drinking it. And now that he got all these perks with him, he was ready to go to the Bamboo Rock Gym and visit Master Lin. But before that, he noticed a surprise that was given by a secret fan, delighting him quite so. Meanwhile, at the Bamboo Rock Gym, Master Lin was wondering when Shiryu will visit his place. Coincidentally, Shiryu arrives just in time, making Master Lin excited. Now on to the next part. Now that Shiryu was in front of their gym, Master Lin remembered that his daughter had mentioned to him before that a very self-disciplined iron eater was taken away by a man named Shiryu, and he didn't find out it was the same person until Dr. Liu mentioned it to him. So he asks his daughter if he personally knows the man named Shiryu. This sudden inquiry of him made Xiaozhu excited, as she was delighted that her father remembered what happened, and that could only mean that he was interested in Shiryu. So she enthusiastically asks her father if Shiryu wants to join their Bamboo Rock Gym. Seeing her daughter be excited of a man makes a father nervous, so he tells her that Shiryu is not here to join their gym, but he was just entrusted by a person to guide his growth. Now that was cleared, he asks her daughter again if he knows the current level of the Iron Eater he just adopted, which she responded that she didn't, but the fact that they didn't come again, after she told them they could visit the bamboo breeding base for consultations, she assumes that it went smooth and everything went normal as it should be. This made Master Lin took a deep sigh as he wished it did went that way, but what happened was everything but normal. And now that he knows that his daughter was clueless of what happened, he tells her that Shiryu and that Iron Eater beast participated in the Tianming Mountains assessment organized by the Beast Master Association a few days ago, and won the first place, shocking both the disciple and Xiaozhu, as they couldn't believe what they heard, since the Iron Eater only awakened to level 3 a month ago. And with this level, even wild boars could beat them. And although she was very optimistic about this Iron Eater's talent, this news still surprised her, as she was in disbelief hearing such a growth rate. Seeing her daughter's reaction, Master Lin tells her to calm down, since things will all be clear after they meet Shiryu, as he wishes that if only the people who attended his gym were half as talented as Shiryu, he could have an easy life. But his train of thought was disturbed by his daughter, reminding him about their scheduled plan to go to a restaurant, since his wife explicitly wants to eat fish for lunch. Surprisingly enough, Master Lin told her that he is not going, and fuck that bitch's plans, because meeting a rare genius is more important than eating, and there ain't no bitch in this world that could stop him from what he wants, and he really wants to see Shiryu as soon as possible. This attitude of his father surprises Xiaozhu, since she didn't expect that her father would disobey the Queen Mother. With this, she assumes that his father is not afraid anymore to sleep outside and lie on the hard concrete floor. So in order to check if this homeboy is 100% sure about his choices, she reminded her father that mother is waiting for them both. This few words sent shivers down his spine, remembering what will happen if he pushed this even further. So without hesitations, he turns around and told his disciple to inform Shiryu to come back in the afternoon because he felt a little hungry. A few moments later, Shiryu came back to the Bamboo Rock Gym and knocked on their front door. He was then greeted by Shouju. Delighted to see him again, she welcomed him with a smile on her face. After they were done greeting each other, she asked Shiryu to follow her to where her father was waiting, which he did willingly so. Soon after, he met with Master Lin, and Master Lin was kind enough to offer him a sit, while Shouju has noticed her father's different treatment toward Shiryu, because it is a little different from what she experiences. Still, she can't believe what her father did at lunch prior to this meeting, questioning her ability to discern the potential of the Iron Eater of Shiryu, even though she took care of it for months, making her feel bitter as she remembers this, while her father continues to talk with Shiryu, telling him that Dr. Lu already told him that if he, Shiryu, plans to come to his Bamboo Rock Gym to learn, he should teach him everything. However, according to his understanding, what he can teach him about the cultivation of iron-eating beasts seems to be limited, and electric palm and cannon fist are undoubtedly the most precious training secrets for iron-eating beasts in their Bamboo Rock Gym, but he have already learned it. In addition, although the nutritional products used for cultivation are expensive, the actual value is still a bit worse than the cheat supplements, and there are many substitute for it. Hearing this disappointed him, but Shiryu is not a dirtbag, so he tells them that it was okay. Seeing his kind nature, Master Lin tries to make up to him by giving him access to the 3 training grounds of the Bamboo Rock Gym, and he is also allowed to use the training equipment freely. As for the resources of iron-eating beasts, the Bamboo Rock Gym will also provide all of them, shocking both Shiryu and Shouju, because they know these things are not cheap. And to add more to their surprises, Master Lin is willing to give him the advanced cultivation method for reference later, since he knew that Shouju already gave him the basic cultivation manual of iron-eating beasts. And if Shiryu has any questions about cultivation, Master Lin advises him to always come to him for advice, since he is willing to answer all of it, and he wouldn't even have to go on trial like other apprentices, going all out to support Shiryu. However, his actions hurt Shouju's feelings, because her father wasn't this generous towards her. While Master Lin is playing 4D chess in his brain right now, since he believes that there should be a special way to treat geniuses like Shiryu. With this, Shiryu happily accepts his generosity, because who wouldn't want food in venues without any restriction, and having a master-level beast master who can tell him information is quite a dream for a young lad like Shiryu. And now he can buy supplements without any reservation, so it seems like the problem of going out of resources for his pet was solved. Still, he was worried if the Bamboo Rock Gym could bear this kind of burden, since Eleven's appetite grows larger by the day. Normally it's fine, but after 11 got that taste of other delicacies, he was eating double the amount. And as for the green cotton worm's food, there should be enough anywhere outside. With this, Shiryu was glad that he made a right choice in joining the Department 11. Otherwise, at this time, he may still be broke. Now that was settled, Master Lin decided to get on with the business, as he continued to converse with Shiryu, asking Shiryu if what he heard from his sources was correct. His Iron Eater had already learned Lighting Palm. In addition, its hardening ability also reached the proficient level, which Shiryu confirmed, while Shouju was sweating like crazy as she tries so hard to compose herself, since she couldn't believe what she is hearing right now. And it is getting more outrageous as their conversations go even further. And now that Master Lin has confirmed it, he tells Shiryu that they should focus on training Lighting Palm first, because its learning curve is lower than of the Cannon Fist, and he shouldn't be learning that many abilities in one sitting or his Iron Eater would be overwhelmed. But if he really wants to, he should master the Electric Palm first, then he could move on. Shiryu agrees with Master Lin, since he knows all too well that he can't add more skill to 11 for now. And as for the Cannon Fist, he just decided to forget it. Even though a normal Iron Eater would be lacking if it doesn't have this skill, his Iron Eater is built different, and wouldn't be lacking at all, and Thunder Claw should be enough, since it is similar, so he doesn't feel the need to add a Fire-type Cannon Fist just to increase the hitting surface, even if there is such a demand. he would probably gain more advanced skills than the cannon fist in the future. And now things have been cleared, and since there are very few records about electric palm from the outside world, Master Lin decided to take Shiryu to the training ground to further explain the lighting palm skill in detail to him. But before that, he must introduce him to other apprentices, because when he comes to the martial arts hall in the future, it is inevitable that he will come into contact with them. So this should be the right choice to make. And as for the various training facilities in the martial arts hall, Xiao Zhu will take him to be familiarized to them later on. While Xiao Zhu is in deep thought, wondering if Shiryu's strength is really worth his father's efforts, and it would have been great if her mother was here. She probably would like to know as well. Coincidentally, Master Lin was thinking the same thing, since he only heard the great things that Shiryu accomplished from Yin Qi, and Shiryu's situations isn't clear enough for Master Lin. So he politely asked Shiryu if he would like to have an actual battle with their martial arts apprentices, in order for Master Lin to know Shiryu's specific situation more better. Expectedly, Xiao Zhu was the one who reacted first, since she has been wishing for his father to say this, while Shiryu on the other hand felt excited, as he was confident of his abilities. Now that they are at the basic training ground, he informed Shiryu that this place is used for martial arts apprentices and Iron Eaters after dinner activities. Normally, only apprentice-level apprentices will live in the martial arts gym to receive rigorous training, and using Shiryu's ability, he could hear the Iron Eaters complain about this stupid training, but who could blame them? Because only psychopaths would start training just after finishing lunch. And now that Shiryu sees the real reaction of an ordinary Iron Eater about training, he couldn't help but reminded of how 11 would be disgusted if he saw this scene. But this training is a must, since Iron Eater have a lazy personality, so it needs to gradually change during training. Otherwise, it wouldn't stand a chance in a real battle. Hearing how Master Lin is having difficulty with the personality of Iron Eaters, Shiryu proudly states that he wouldn't have this problem with 11, since he is very self-disciplined. Generally speaking, it will not eat until it completes a certain amount of training, otherwise it will not be forced to eat. This shocked Master Lin. Even Xiao Zhu was surprised, because it seems like 11 is more outrageous than when he was at the breeding base. So she looks at Shiryu with suspicion on her eyes as she asks him what he did to Elvin after he adopted him, making Shiryu sweat all over the place, as he wished he didn't open his mouth, since he knows all too well the reason why 11 is training that hard. And it is because 11 feels guilty after receiving a skill from his handbook, as he believes that it is shameful to get something without doing anything. So 11 tries to make it up with his blood and sweat. Luckily, their attention was diverted towards the two Iron Eaters now battling at the training ground. But this was to be expected because after the warm-up is over, they are required to carry out basic hardening training here, in groups of 2 and practice with each other. This amazes Shiryu, because unlike what they did, relying on gravity and steel plates to practice, this is more efficient. And now that Master Lin has explained the important things in the training ground, it was time for him to test Shiryu out. And because their Iron Eater are basically at level 8 to 10, he decided to just pick the strongest among them for Shiryu to fight with. This came as a surprise for Shiryu, since this must be a dream come true to him and 11. Seeing his reaction, Master Lin calls for Jiang Rui's attention to introduce the newcomer to him, which he was quite intrigued by this news. At the same time, the other disciples noticed that their senior sister was at the training ground, so they try their best in order for Xiao Zhu to notice them. Still, they are just background characters, so they were just ignored, as Master Lin introduced Shiryu to Jiang Rui, which disappoints him, since it turned out it was just a rookie after all. Still, they welcomed Shiryu with open arms, as they tell him kind words and greetings. Now that was done, Master Lin tells Jiang Rui that he won't have to do organized training today since he will have a match with Shiryu, and if he loses this fight, him and his Iron Eater's training will be doubled. This comes as a surprise to Jiang Rui, but it is still guiding a newcomer, so he was confident that he wouldn't lose. Even the other disciples felt the same way, as they think that their master is giving a newcomer a big blow to his ego, in order to let him understand the strength of their bamboo rock gym. With this, the both of them summoned their Iron Eater for the match to commence. But after they saw 11, the disciples were shocked that this kid only has a level 6 Iron Eater. He is indeed a newcomer, and Jiang Rui has a 10th level Awakened Iron Eater, with a proficient level Harden, so they were more than sure that this will be a one-sided match. Even Jiang Rui think this was a joke. However, Master Lin and Xiao Zhu has a different expression on their faces, as they eager to find out Shiryu's true strength. And now that Jiang Rui is underestimating his opponent, he tells Shiryu to go first, and not even a moment's passed. 11 was already gone from where he stood, as only dust in the air formed by the shock wave of his charge was seen, surprising Master Lin and Xiaozhu of how fast and explosive it was. Surprisingly, this didn't faze Jiang Rui, as he still thinks that this little Iron Eater is inferior in strength, so he calmly tells his beast to ready itself for a block. He made this move since he is very confident in the strength of his Iron Eater's harden, but to his surprise, the little Iron Eater just smirks at it as it charges to use its lightning ability, shocking both Jiang Rui and his beast, as he realized that it's now too late for his beast to cancel the hardened state to avoid its electric palm. With this, 11 managed to easily send the level 10 Iron Eater flying backwards, shocking both Xiaozhu and Master Lin. Moreover, the electric palm is now at the stage of showing its true power, so it seems like this little Iron Eater has worked hard to practice after learning this skill. And although this attack haven't knocked out the level Iron Eater, they are more than sure that it took quite a damage, and it is probably paralyzed. Still, this Iron Eater is not a pushover either, as it manages to stand up and recover just by its fighting will. Realizing his opponent is now a threat, Jiang Rui is not willing to lose, because he knows that his Iron Eater couldn't afford to double its training volume. With this, Jiang Rui decided to go all out, as he ordered his beast to use its hard claw, which it did in a heartbeat, launching itself towards 11, as it charges its attack mid-launch. Surprisingly, Shiryu was calm as ever, as he orders 11 to not dodge this, and just fight back. Even 11 was confused, as he asks if his tamer was serious about this, and seeing 11 hesitate, Shiryu explains to him that this is a good opportunity for them to show to everyone his hardening and electric palm ability, but they will keep the other skill hidden for now. And now that the confusion was cleared, 11 did what he was told to do. With this, he took the attack without receiving any clear damage, surprising Jiang Rui immensely, as he wonders how this little Iron Eater has now a proficient level harden, and it seems like it is much higher than his. Meanwhile, his Iron Eater was also flabbergasted as it mindlessly tries the same attack. However, 11 was not planning to just stand still, as he dodges it and launch a counter-attack from below, catching the level 10 Iron Eater by surprise, easily knocking him out cold. Soon after, Shiryu pays his respect as the battle was finished, while Jiang Rui was still processing what happened, as he still couldn't believe the rookie's Iron Eater already has a proficient level harden, even though it was just a level 6 awakened beast. Even the Iron Eater of his brothers and sisters who have passed the professional exam wasn't this outrageous. Therefore, Master Lin asked Shiryu if he would like to fight one of his disciples. Seeing this as an opportunity to show what they got, Shiryu didn't hesitate to accept. With this, 11 faces Jiang Rui's Iron Eater, and with just a few blows, 11 managed to send his opponent's soul to the Shadow Realm, shocking Jiang Rui immensely. Now on to the next part. Now defeated, Jiang Rui is having an existential crisis on the spot, and to add more to his problems, Master Lin reminds him that he and his beast's amount of training would be doubled, since he lost to a rookie like Shiryu. With this, his mind couldn't handle the truth, as he was now having a mental breakdown and became delusional. He even started to think that Shiryu must be an illegitimate son of Master Lin, because of how strong Shiryu is. Seeing his reactions, Master Lin tells him to rest, and take his Iron Eater with him for treatment, and the other may continue to train, and Shiryu on the other hand would come with him to explore more of the gym. Meanwhile, Xiaozhu still has a troubled expression, as she was thinking about 11, and if this is the real 11 that she knows of, but her train of thought was disrupted by the other disciples trying to ask questions about Shiryu. Therefore, she tells them that their training will also be doubled, shocking the other disciples. Still, they couldn't help themselves but be curious about the identity of this newcomer and his Iron Eater, because of how monstrous their skills were, and they are more than sure that they would stir everyone's curiosity once they become pro. Soon after, they were now walking down the halls, while 11 is looking at Master Lin as he couldn't help but feel familiar with this man. Then, they have arrived at the main training ground, and Xiaozhu was already there to greet 11, which 11 happily embraces her without a second wasted, seeing the one who took care of him before Shiryu. While Xiaozhu was happy that 11's attitude was the same as before, even though he became so suddenly strong. After that, Master Lin praises Shiryu, because it seems like this Iron Eater have been bred quite well, and this Iron Eater is among one of the best he has seen so far. In short, Shiryu's future is immeasurable. However, it's a pity that the amount of things that he can teach him isn't that many, but still, it will be the most important one, as he summons his own Iron Eater, who is not only big, but also emits a refined electric aura that covers its whole body, and seeing Master Lin's Iron Eater fills their eyes with admiration and excitement as they witness the real potential of an Iron Eater. And now, Master Lin will show them the next step that they have to learn after mastering the Harden and Electric Palm, which can be used for reference later, and the different proficiency signs of hardening should be clearly recorded in the basic training manual, so they need to focus on the Electric Palm for now. And 11's Electric Palm is currently at the entry stage, so after one hit, the chaotic high-intensity electric current bursts out, which can put the enemy in a strong paralyzed state. However, the penetrating power is still not enough. Otherwise, it could have directly smashed the hardened layer and instantly killed the opponent, but explaining it might not be convincing enough. So Master Lin orders his Iron Eater to demonstrate. Understanding his assignment, the Iron Eater turns around towards the target, and now that the steel dummy appeared, he didn't waste time to charge his electric ability, concentrating it on his palm to accurately release it on his target, penetrating it like butter even though it has multiple layers in it, perfectly demonstrating the symbol of a proficient electric palm, showing to Shiryu and 11 that no matter how hard steel is, it can be destroyed by lightning penetration. With this, shock fills Shiryu's face as he realized the electric palm that they have practiced day and night is nothing compared to this, while 11's expression is filled with excitement as he admires how cool and handsome this Iron Eater in front of him was, inspiring him to train even harder in order to catch up to this Giga Panda. Seeing that they now understood their place, Master Lin continued with his teaching, showing them what a proficient level electric palm could look like, and it could also be determined if the beast could turn it into a normal state. With this, not only can the electric palm resemble a gauntlet that usually covers the hand, it can now cover the whole arm and shoulders. Now that they demonstrated it, the next thing they must do is to train the electric palm to a perfect level, which isn't an easy feat to accomplish. But once they have stepped into this level, his Iron Eater would be unmatched, as perfect level proficiency stimulates the whole body with the help of high-intensity electric current of electric palm, thereby generating a powerful instant explosive force, gaining speed beyond the eye can see. And after training the electric palm to the perfect level, the penetrating power of thunder and lightning matches its own speed. With this, even real lightning can be cut into half. Seeing the true perfect proficiency of the electric palm made 11 and Shiryu excited. Surprisingly, 11 is now more than willing to receive that cheat skill of Shiryu and just make it up for later, because he wanted to gain this skill so badly. However, Master Lin is not done, as he tells them both that this is nothing, because there is another level that they should be achieving, and that is the supernatural level electric palm, and it can only be possible by combining the perfect hardened and perfect electric palm, completely shocking the both of them. And seeing their amazement of this form, Shioju tells them that it is of course more extravagant than what they have seen, because it's more powerful than ordinary combo. But this form isn't an easy thing to accomplish, since her father's Iron Eater proficiency of its skills are all at perfect level or above. And in the field of masters, beast tamers call the perfect combination skill formed by two skills above perfect proficiency, profundity. And right now, this is one of the profundities mastered by her father's iron-eating beast, the Thunder Armor. By virtue of this profundity, it can briefly fight a king-level creature. However, just like what she stated before, combination skills are difficult to master, because it doesn't mean that if an Iron Eater masters Harden and Electric Palm at the same time, it will also be able to combine the two skills. Even if it is just to superimpose the Hardening and Lightning Palm at the same time, it would be entirely difficult to do, just like what happened before with her father and his Iron Eater. So the first thing to consider is whether the pet has the ability to use two skills at the same time. After that, they should consider if the two energies would conflict, and the only way to solve these contradictions is by improving one's proficiency of skills, because only when the proficiency of the skill was enough, and the pet was extremely familiar with a certain skill, could this skill be combined with other skills to be used. The higher the proficiency, the higher the completion of combination skills. There was a saying in the beast taming domain, combination skills might not be the strongest, but the strongest skills must be combination skills. That is also why the high-level tamers have called it profundity. Whether a pet could master the profundities and whether its profundity is powerful or not, was often the most critical factor in evaluating the level of cultivation of a beast tamer in a higher field. And it was clearly a little early for Shiryu, who wasn't even a professional beast tamer. It was even very early for professional beast tamers. After all, even ordinary professional beast tamers might not necessarily be able to train their pets' skills to perfect proficiency. However, Because Master Lin thought highly of Shiryu's talent, Master Lin still chose to broaden Shiryu's horizons in advance, hoping that Shiryu could work hard in this direction. So at the side, after Lin Xiaoju finished introducing the profundities of the Thunder Armor, Master Lin looked at Shiryu discreetly, without leaving any trace, waiting for Shiryu's shocked expression. However, Shiryu's next words made both Master Lin's heart skip a beat, as Shiryu states that he feels like this Thunder Armor can be further improved. Discovering the flaw in the Thunder Armor, confused, Xiaoju asks him why did he just say that. Seeing that his words might have stirred them up, Shiryu explains that it is because the iron-eating beast's vision isn't very good, and with the speed just now, he wonders if it can control its movements well. However, this only made things more confusing, as Xiaoju thinks that Shiryu wants something impossible, because there is no such thing as a perfect profundity, and this move is already very good against a big opponent who is not good at speed. However, it wasn't a problem to Shiryu, as Shiryu added that if there's a perception skill that can predict the enemy's movements or clearly capture the enemy's position, the effect of the Thunder Armor might be stronger. With this sudden realization, he looked at 11 with a smile on his face, as he was thinking of combining Hardening, Electric Palm, and Super Sight, creating a perfect Thunder Armor profundity. However, this was more like a 3-skill profundity, and as for facing a large-sized opponent, it would be better if he substitutes Super Sight with the perfect level multiplication, making yet another combination on his head. Still, Master Lin was on the side, shocked at what Shiryu has just said, and was now wondering if this person is crazy or just clueless, and if he thinks learning skills was that simple. He could go ahead and try learning it if he wanted. However, he knows that as a master, he can't just say these words to a junior, especially to a genius like Shiryu. So Master Lin tries to refute Shiryu's statement as kindly as he can, telling him the key problem of his statement is that it's not easy for iron-eating beasts to learn perception skills. However, Master Lin acknowledges that his idea is pretty good. Every profundity isn't perfect. It has its own flaws and shortcomings, so integrating new skills into the combination of profundities, it can increase the effectiveness of the profundities, but this is still too far from him. So he should just focus on his current goal of training his iron-eating beast to increase the proficiency of the Electric Palm. After that, he could try the simple combination of Hardening and Electric Palm, but he must always remember that it's not easy to increase the proficiency of Electric Palm. After all, this skill isn't an iron-eating beast's racial skill. From the initial level to the proficient level, the palm needs to have extremely strong endurance and lightning resistance. To be proficient in it, the pet needs to have strong energy control and strong physical support. As for going from expert level to perfection, during the training process, a single mistake will cause the pet to be covered in injuries. The training process is extremely dangerous, and every step is very particular. In short, if he has any problems in his cultivation, Master Lin advises Shiryu that he shouldn't hesitate to come and find him. Master Lin is sure that Shiryu would need more guidance from him. Even though he had shown Shiryu the characteristics of the Electric Palm at each proficiency stage, he knows that there are still many ways to it, which are not simple. With this, Shiryu freely responded that he would try his best, while having no sign of any trouble on his face. At the same time, Little Iron-Eating Beast 11 kept feeling that the two of them weren't on the same page, and he was right. Master Lin thought that he would first let Shiryu develop a normal combination skill that was proficient in Hardening and proficient in the Electric Palm, which would be enough for Shiryu to pass the vocation assessment in the future, while Shiryu, on the other hand, was thinking about when he could reach perfect Hardening, perfect Electric Palm, and perfect multiplication, to activate the Thunder God Armor mode directly, in which he could destroy a city with one strike. After that was done, Xiaoju began to introduce Shiryu and the others to the training hall facilities, where they could freely use all kinds of equipment for the basic quality training of Iron Eaters. But 11 felt that it was a little boring, since it didn't look as ferocious as jumping off a building. But to 11's surprise, the next room that Xiaoju shows them was an electricity generation training room, specially designed for iron-eating beasts to train their lightning resistance. The highest it could provide was transcendent level electricity. There was also an electric swimming pool nearby. Not only could it train the iron-eating beasts to fight in the water, but it could also increase their lightning resistance, completely filling 11's emotions with ecstasy. He then excitedly asks his tamer if he can use it now. Seeing his beast be thrilled to use the pool, Shiryu permits him to go, and if he could use the equipment here, it would indeed be more scientific and comprehensive than the iron-eating beast working itself to death. Most importantly, they could eat and drink here for free. A few moments later, Master Lin was hurriedly summarizing his insights into cultivating iron-eating beasts, planning to give it to Shiryu before he left. At this moment, Xiaozhu knocked on the door and entered. Surprised, he stopped what he was doing and asked her if Shiryu and his Iron Eater had finished their meal, and if it also suited their appetite, which Lin Xiaozhu pondered, that it should be very suitable. Shiryu was alright, but that little metal-eating beast ate a lot. This made Master Lin smile, thinking that if it really was as self-disciplined as his daughter had just said, it probably would have a lot of exercise. So, he thinks that it's fine, and it's normal to eat a little more. Seeing that his father doesn't know shit about this particular Iron Eater, Xiaozhu enlightened him about the shit he just got himself into, telling him about the things that it ate and used, such as an electricity mine, iron bamboo, iron heartwood, gold spirit mine spring, and the growth package of the special gold and lightning dual-element energy crystals in their gym, and it ate double the normal Iron Eater's post-workout servings. Still, he is a man of commitment, so he just brushes it off, while acknowledging that it is a lot, but it is also normal, seeing that his father still doesn't realize the severity of the situation that he was in. Xiaozhu informs him that the thing she just stated is only the amount of food they had in the afternoon, when they only had one battle without any amount of training. With this, Master Lin fell into deep thought, now realizing that he must prepare more food resources in the future. However, it wasn't a big problem. He still had enough food, and it was just an awakening stage iron-eating beast. So no matter how much nutrition was needed, he was sure that it wouldn't be more than when it needed to grow into a commander-rank iron-eating beast. At the same time, Shiryu was taking a walk in the martial arts hall. He was in a good mood, while in deep thought, thinking about how convenient it was that he wouldn't have to worry about 11. If 11 could completely get the nutrition it needed, because with the help of absolute sleep coupled with accelerated digestion in the beast taming space, he is guaranteed that 11 would completely absorb the nutrition it just digested, and at this rate, he was confident that he could nurture 11 to transcendent level in a few months, and he knows that this is a feat that only he could accomplish. Because in this world, the average lifespan of iron-eating beasts is around 35 years old. Usually, when wild iron-eating beasts have sufficient nutrition and good growing conditions, it would take about 10 years for them to grow naturally to the transcendent level. Generally speaking, iron-eating beasts around this age had long become adults. They were in their mature prime and could be considered the normal growth speed of iron-eating beasts. As for the iron-eating beasts with beast tamers, they could accelerate the process. For example, just like 11, it looked like there was hope of accelerating his growth to the transcendent level before it became 2 years old. So in terms of professional assessment, there's no need to worry too much about 11's level, but his own, and it looked like he had to see if there were any cultivation resources that beast tamers could use, because he knows that taking just the supplements weren't enough. At a later time, before leaving, Xiaozhu handed the metal-eating beast's advanced training manual to Shiryu. This contains the training method for each stage of the electric palm, so she advises him always to remember to keep it well. And after Xiaozhu handed the skill manual to Shiryu, Xiaozhu's eyes filled with sorrow, as she could tell that her own father had placed all his hopes on Shiryu, hoping that Shiryu would nurture the iron-eating beast to break through the racial limit. With this, she couldn't help but look away as she bottled up all the emotions within her. However, Shiryu isn't a dense person, so he realized what Xiaozhu was feeling as soon as he got a glimpse of her face. With this, he does his best to reassure Xiaozhu that he will definitely make good use of these materials, just like what she has seen so far. She doesn't have to worry, because they will surely make their dreams a reality. He was confident about this. As long as there was enough food in the dojo, 11 would not disappoint everyone's expectations. Otherwise, 11 would not feel at ease eating this meal. At the same time, hearing what Shiryu had just said instantly took away the burden from Xiaozhu's eyes, as she also decided to place all her hope on Shiryu, just like her father did. And now she knows that 11 really did find a good beast master, as she now felt relieved around him. At night, when Shiryu returned home, the green worm was still sleeping. Apart from eating, this guy slept. He was even more of an iron-eating beast than 11, and since it was sleeping, Shiryu decided not to feed him anymore. After a simple shower, Shiryu prepared supplements and called 11 over. According to Shiryu's tone, 11 knew what he wanted to do to him. Surprisingly, 11 obediently ran over to Shiryu, because after staying at the Bamboo Stone Dojo for the whole afternoon, it had an eye-opener. The attitude displayed by Master Lin's iron-eating beast deeply attracted little 11, so 11 is now even challenging his tamer to give him the best that he got, as he wants to know where the limits of the skills of his tamer were. Hearing 11 say this made Shiryu speechless, as he couldn't believe that the day had come when 11 was more accepting of his skill. However, in 11's opinion, it was just harvesting results in advance. It was overdrafting consumption, training, and sweat before replenishing it. But there is no problem with that at all. With this, Shiryu reteaches 11 the electric palm skill. After Shiryu added the points, 11's electric palm proficiency immediately went from the initial level to the proficient level. As for Shiryu, he fell asleep after drinking less than half a cup of honey milk. The next day, Shiryu yawned and stretched before getting out of bed. Then Shiryu put on his slippers and pushed the door open. In the courtyard, Shiryu wasn't sure if 11 had slept that night. Still, 11's electric palm had reached the proficient level, so he was thinking of teaching 11 another skill today. But as his vision became clearer, surprise filled his face, as he happened to see 11 sitting under the tree, thinking about bare life. Concerned, he approached 11 in order to ask what was troubling him, since it is rare to see him here being so quiet. Suddenly, 11 stretched his hands out, trying his best to explain to his tamer that it was so difficult to combine hardening and electric palm. After a whole night of research, with the help of absolute sleep, plus constant trying, 11 still didn't complete the combination skill. With this, Shiryu now realized that it seems a little difficult to assemble the expert level hardening and proficient level electric palm. Therefore, he tells 11 what the problem is, informing him that their proficiency is still lacking, so they have to take a rest first and eat. After that, he will teach him the skills again, and he can make it up later as he works hard. This decision of Shiryu made 11 admire him even more, as he was thankful that his tamer understood his beast's will. A few moments later, Shiryu decided to go back to the Bamboo Rock Gym, and as he was walking up the stairs, he was in deep thought, thinking about how 11's appetite was becoming too big after practicing all night. So now he realized that he couldn't let 11 stay overnight. And yesterday, he forgot to ask if the food for cultivation could be taken out, because according to the food intake of 11, he is required to go to the gym every day. However, the dojo was too far away, so it would just be a waste of time to do that, and he might not necessarily need to use the training equipment of the dojo every day. But to his surprise, as soon as he got to the top, Master Lin is already preparing to go out. But before he could leave, he asked Shiryu if he is planning to explore the ruins, since he participated in the assessment at Tianming Mountain, to which Shiryu responded that he would. This delighted Master Lin, and according to the feedback of the Beast Tamer trainees in the Beast Tamer troops, that ruin is indeed very suitable for training. With his strength, he might have an unexpected gain, and even Jiang Rui and the others will also explore the ruins this time, which means that they could compete again. Then, Master Lin looked in the direction of the snow mountain and sighed slightly, and tells Shiryu that he is leaving Pingcheng for a period of time, so if he has anything he doesn't understand in the martial arts hall, he can ask Shouju directly. After that, Master Lin left in a hurry, but Shiryu had yet to ask if there was any delivery service at the dojo. Helpless, he could only run to the canteen to ask. After arriving at the place, a middle-aged man greeted him and told him that most of the iron-eating beast nutritional supplements and food in Icefield City are basically orders here, so there is definitely a delivery service here. And Hall Master Lin said that he could freely use the cultivation resources of the dojo and support delivery, so Shiryu just needed to tell him the quantity, address, and delivery time. Hearing this made Shiryu extremely delighted, as it was easier than he had expected. With this, he immediately told the man that he would first order 3 times the normal iron-eating beast's appetite daily, surprising the man completely. After making an appointment for 3 days of food resources, Shiryu left the dojo. A few days had passed, and only 3 days remained before the exploration of the ruins would start. However, from the looks of it, Shouju's family was more generous than he imagined, and that made sense, because how could a normal family afford a private panda breeding base if they don't have any money? Now that he had so many supplements, food, and nutritional supplements, 11's strength could definitely welcome an explosive increase. So after Shiryu had prepared all the supplements, he started teaching 11 how to use deterrents. He planned to first teach all the high-level skills, before helping 11 increase the proficiency of hardening and electric palm, to complete the combination skill. With this in mind, Shiryu reached out and touched 11's head, and told 11 that from today onwards, he is now a panda king. Soon after, an immense aura flowed inside him, covering 11's whole body, and he even had to take a deep breath in order to take it all in. And once the energy was all in the right places, 11 was now stronger than ever before.